There we go. All right. What's up, guys? It's Kyle Pereira of Last Word on Sports. I'm doing my, at this point, yearly mock draft, 2022 NHL mock draft. We have some guys here. Some guys are going to be running a little bit late, but they should be here shortly. Most of the picks are already pretty figured out, and they will be sent in, hopefully, quickly. But let's get ready to go. With first overall, as we all know, it's the Montreal Canadiens. Ben Kerr has that first overall pick. So let's see who you're going to pick at first overall.
Well, there's been a lot of talk about the first overall pick in Montreal and in scouting circles. I'm one who doesn't believe it's particularly close. I have one player ranked above everyone else in a tier by himself, and that's Shane Wright. I think his game's been a little bit overanalyzed because of the fact that he was 15 coming into the OHL. And I think he also missed a year, which none of the other top, 5, 6, 10 prospects missed a full year of hockey. He did play 5 games. They were on a broken foot during the under 18s. So Montreal's going to take Shane Wright and be very happy to do so and put him down the middle with Nick Suzuki.
All right, so not really off the board. If anybody has anything
You're
else
on
to
mute,
add.
Kyle.
Ooh. Sorry about that. So that pick, again, not off the board at all. Pretty much what everyone's expecting in this draft from Montreal. So with the second overall pick, it's New Jersey. That pick was sent in to me. I know who the pick is, but before I go, I'm going to give a little shout out to Gordon. Gordon is is going to be the New Jersey GM at second overall. Actually, he'll probably announce it himself. Let's see if he does it. But it is going to be Simon Nemec. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Maybe Fred can help me out with that one.
I think it's Simon Nemec. I think that's how you would pronounce it.
So he's going to be going with Simon Nemec at second overall, a little bit off the board. Anybody have a word on going with Nemec at 2 over Logan Cooley, Juraj Slafkovsky, anything at all?
I fully agree with that pick. That's probably my best thing. I think for me, he's probably the most well-rounded defender that is in this draft, and I think he is probably the player, in my opinion, in the draft class that has the highest hockey IQ. He thinks the game in such a good way, and he has such a mature way of playing. Like, he seems to be in control in most situations. So yeah, that is a great pick.
I think I think New Jersey's been looking for a top pair defenseman for a long time, and he's the guy who is it to me in this draft. I don't have a problem with the pick. I have a lot of similarity. If you look on my ranks, which are of course at Last Word on Sports, you'll see he's number 3, but I don't have a big difference between 2 and 4. So no issues with going for positional need there. When the 3 players are so close.
Yeah, and he did send a reason for his pick. Let's see if I can find it. Here it is. Just in case you guys wanted to hear his reasoning behind the pick, he said, I think Nemec is best player available at 2 anyways, but on top of that, they have a pretty set top 6 going forward with guys like Hughes, Hischier, Mercer, and Sharangovich, as well as Holtz coming. On D, it's a lot thinner. They have Luke Hughes, who they presumably really like, but not a difference maker, really. And I think as Nemec progresses, it allows you to move Severson out, and as Hamilton ages and starts to regress, Nemec will hopefully be able to take away some tougher minutes from him and allow Hamilton to be sheltered a little bit later on down the line and hopefully surpass him. I think he fits their timeline, and I think he addresses a hole going forward, which might hurt their cup window depending on how Hamilton ages. So that's his reasoning for Simon Nemec. Now it's just a waiting game. Hopefully, again, Wally will be able to take his pick. If not, I think we might have a good idea of who will go 3. So we'll just wait, give him a couple minutes. We can talk about the Shane Wright pick a little bit more if anybody wants to add to Shane Wright going up first, or maybe any reason why he might not go first. I know you touched on that a little bit, Ben, the overanalyzing of his lack of production. We can talk about not going with Logan Cooley or Juraj Slafkovsky at number 2. Anybody want to take that? You can run with it as we wait for the third overall pick to come in.
I mean, there's been a lot of talk about Wright's production, and I think we need to put it into perspective here. And like I said, he didn't play an OHL game. There was over 400 days between OHL games because of the pandemic. he started off, and I'm not a big fan of Luka Caputi's system in Kingston. I would like to see players in Kingston carry the puck a lot more. There are a lot of one-touch passing in Kingston, and so I think that takes away from, and he's obviously following the system and takes away from some of the dynamic game breaking that we saw in his rookie year and that we've seen in international competition as well. So that's part of it. Another part of it was Caputi put him with 2 rookies to start the year. And after not playing for 400 games, he was basically anchoring a second line and being told to play defensive and shelter these 2 kids and also put up points. And he was at about 1 point per game for the first half of the season. Second half of the season, they moved him up to the first line, let him, not that he wasn't like the first 2 lines, the first bit, they were kind of playing equal ice time because he was playing against the other team's top line. So he was still getting his 20 plus minutes a game. But then they really put together a scoring line in the second half of the season, and you saw him just take off. He had 1.8 points per game in the second half of the year when he had some wingers with him. And so I don't have concerns about his production levels and things like that. He may need another year of OHL just from missing a year of hockey. And I realize that no first overall forward has done that in like almost 30 years. I think since Lindros was the last one, and that was because he didn't want to sign with Quebec. But that's the last first overall forward to go back to junior hockey or go back to college hockey. And I think that might be the case for Shane Wright here, just because he missed a year of development.
Just to that last point, I actually think that's something that should happen a little bit more often. And not everyone is going to be Austin Matthews coming out from the draft and just completely burn everyone in the league. That's not going to happen regularly. I think we actually saw that a little bit with Owen Power. I think it's sometimes very good to let him marinate a little bit in NCAA, the juniors, the European leagues, whatever, even the AHL. I think it can be really, really helpful for a player to kind of have that pressure a little bit put away from them and give them time to kind of grow into a pro league or grow into their style of play in a less pressured environment. Then right away they have to perform in the NHL. Right away they have to perform like in front of the whole world watching. I think that can be a great, great idea. So for me, I don't mind that if St. Wright is needing a year more in the juniors, or even if they decide they want to put him in the AHL. I think that can work really well for them.
All right.
Yeah, unfortunately, they can't put him in the AHL because of the transfer agreement and the rules behind it. But another year in the OHL, I don't think would do him any harm. I think he probably gets his 9-game tryout and then goes down. But to me, I think it's a smart move. And I don't think from a team building perspective as well, Montreal is not contending next year. Let's be real. They have no idea what's going on with Carey Price. They have Jeff Petry's probably gone, which is going to leave their defense. Well, there's a lot of prospects on that defense. It's going to be very young and it's going to take some time, and there's going to be a learning curve there. And then up front, you're led by Cole Caulfield and Nick Suzuki, and they did great in the playoffs in 2021. But I mean, there's just not a lot behind them right now. And so it is a team with a deep prospect pool that I think can rebuild successfully, but why waste a year of an entry-level contract? Why get him 1 year closer to arbitration, 1 year closer to UFA? And he could use the time as well for development, I think would be. So in all those ways, I think sending him back makes a lot of sense. Now, some other names, the other name that we keep hearing is Juraj Slafkovsky. And when people are picking apart Shane Wright's production, I say, okay, so Slafkovsky had what, 3 good weeks, a week and a half at the Olympics and a week and a half at the World Championships. It's a guy who scored 5 goals this year. And I get that Liga is a tough league. It's a men's league. It is. But when you compare him to Capo Caco or Patrick Laine or other guys who have gone at the top of drafts, he's not that in their league production wise either. So if you want to criticize Shane Wright for not being in the production space of a Jack Hughes or of other top picks, then that's fine. I get that, but you can't do it on one guy and not do it on the other, because Slafkovsky has the same production issues that Shane Wright had, and it's in comparing him to his peers and comparing him to what Jesse Puljujarvi did and other top Finnish picks out of Liga.
All right. Thank you guys for all that input, but we do have 2 picks that just came in. For Arizona, Wally Maz was the GM of the Coyotes, and at 3rd overall, he selected Logan Cooley. At 4th overall, it's the Seattle Kraken. Jack Smith decided to pick Juraj Slafkovsky, who you were just criticizing. So if you want to stick with that and talk about how he fits maybe with Seattle, and when you're all set with that, I will talk about the Logan Cooley pick, because Logan Cooley is one of my favorite players in this draft. So as I get Philadelphia set up, notify them, you can go ahead and run with Slafkovsky's fit in Seattle if you'd like.
See, I don't want to be too harsh on Slafkovsky. I don't think he's a bad pick in the top 5. I really don't. I just think when we're talking about 1st overall, it was more in a comparison to Shane Wright versus anything else. When we talk about who's going to go 1st overall and all the criticism we hear about Shane Wright's production, I'm just wondering why Slafkovsky isn't getting that same critique. But I think he's a big forward. I think he's a powerful winger. I think Seattle needs all the talent they can get right now. And Matty Beniers looked great in a short sample size for them last year. Played really well at Michigan as well. So I think they have their number 1 center. And I think going with Slafkovsky to pair with him will be a nice combination on their top line for a lot of years. I'm happy with that. I think Cooley also fits great in Arizona, but I'll let Kyle talk a little bit more about him.
Yeah, so Seattle is one of those places where they lack centers, right? I mean, Barrett Hayton was one of their best centers last year. So they need to fill up down the middle. You have Clayton Keller on the wings. They have good wingers, young wingers as well, that they can build around moving forward. And I think Logan Cooley going 3rd overall couldn't have been a better outcome for Arizona, because you look at those picks ahead of them, and it's like, you have Shane Wright going 1st. There's no shot that he's going to be going that far to Arizona. There's no shot Shane Wright falls that far. But New Jersey, the opportunity for them to pick Logan Cooley is there. Arizona might not have Logan Cooley at their spot, and then you have if New Jersey decides to take Simon Nemec, or if they decide to take Juraj Slafkovsky, that opens up the window for Logan Cooley. I think that was the best case scenario for Arizona at 3. Watching him play with the NTDP, he's one of those guys that your jaw just drops sometimes when you see him carry the puck up the ice. It seems almost too easy for him at times, where he'll take the puck into the offensive zone, he'll skate circles around the opposition for a little while, and then pick his time to strike with a pass or a shot. He's just so dynamic in the offensive zone, and he's the type of player that the NHL is really gearing towards being bigger impact players. You guys were talking before we started the stream, smaller guys. Is there a size problem? Like, if you have too many small centers, does that impact you? And I know we talked about it could impact them in the postseason, but for Arizona, that's not really a concern right now. They just want to take the best player available, the best player that fits their system. I think Logan Cooley is the top option for Arizona, without a shadow of a doubt, at least in my opinion. One of my favorite prospects, like I mentioned earlier in the draft. He's just so dynamic and so much fun to watch. I think he'll be awesome for the Coyotes, especially as they try to find their new stadium in the coming years. I think Cooley will be the perfect fit for them there. And while we were talking, the Philadelphia Flyers picked. It was Jim Ike, James Locavone. I'm sure some of you have heard of him. He has a big podcast. He decided to take defenseman David Jiricek. I think this is a good pick for Philadelphia. Fits right in with the kind of picks that you'd expect Philadelphia to take. I don't know if Chaz, you want to discuss David Jiricek, if you're comfortable with that, or if Fred or Ben would like to take over as well. Feel free while I set up the next team, which I believe is Sam. He should have already sent in this pick, but if you guys want to take over with the Jiricek pick at 5.
Yeah, I was talking to him for a little bit. I think he's really a dynamic defenseman. I mean, I've seen him play, and I think he probably could have had a chance to go a lot higher had he not had the injury in the U18s, even though it only lasted a little bit. It did kind of hinder his season a bit. He can basically do whatever you want him to do. I mean, he will kill penalties. He will make a big hit to change the momentum of the game. he has a very good slap shot. I think he could use it a little more. Sometimes you will see him walking the blue line, and then he will get a poke from him. He will kind of he doesn't have the confidence under pressure that you'd think a defenseman with those capabilities would have. So I think a really good coach, someone like a John Tortorella, would definitely mold him into the type of top pairing defenseman that you would want to see at pick number 5.
And,
I will.
yeah, go ahead, Fred.
Sorry, I will say you mentioned that his confidence levels sometimes seem to let him down a little bit. I remember watching a game, and I mentioned this in the group chat as well before this. I wrote specifically, he reminds me of Brent Burns offensively. He's such a good player offensively. He makes so many dynamic plays, and he has a wicked slap shot. It's such a hard slap shot, such a heavy shot. However, he also reminds me of Dion Phaneuf defensively at times, where it's like, why are you? It's so polarizing to watch, and that's also why for me I have Nemec higher because I think he's more well-rounded. Where I think Juracek, if he can learn to be more defensively responsible, I think he will be a great defenseman. I think his ceiling is higher than Nemec. I just think his floor is a bit lower, and I think that's where you have to kind of make the assessments of it. But yeah, if he can fix his confidence, if he can learn to position himself better, and maybe not always go for the heavy hit, I think he will be a great defender.
So this is really interesting, right? We talked about this before a couple days ago, if I'm not mistaken. I am so confused. I got so confused a couple days ago when we were discussing in the group chat David Jiricek, because I forget who mentioned it. It might have been you, Fred, who mentioned he's a dynamic offensive player. And in my head, I'm thinking, no, he's really not. Like, I don't know, why you guys think that. It was the weirdest thing that dawned on me because I wrote. I'm sure Ben might have seen it. Probably doesn't read my articles to be honest, but who knows? I wrote a scouting report on David Jiricek. I watched specifically 3 games because when I write a scouting report, I always like tracking 3 of the most recent games, getting the most recent data sets available. I know it's a small sample, and I'm going to do better with that next year. I'm going to have a little bit more availability as well, so I'll be better with sample sizes next year. But this year, I still stuck with those 3 games and then scouting report following that. I was taking notes. I have about 10 pages of notes from those 3 games. And for the most part, I really liked David Jiricek's defensive game. At the beginning of the year, I did not. I hated his defensive game. I thought his offensive game was really his bread and butter. But then watching those 3 recent games, my opinion on him completely changed. I thought he was more of like an Eric Chernak or a Ryan McDonough type. And hearing what you guys are saying, I got really confused. I was like, I don't see that. Like, I mean, I have my track data available if I can pull it up fast enough. Jiricek's one of the best defensemen when it comes to shutting down the rush in the games that I tracked. And in my head, I was like, I don't understand because my numbers, I put my numbers together. I was very, meticulous with it, making sure I got everything right. I wasn't missing anything. I would rewind the game. I probably watched about 3-4 hours of footage of just him playing to make sure I got all of it right. And then you guys are saying he's just an offensive player. I was a little confused. So I do want to pull up my number. I'm not trying to, take anything away from you guys. You guys are brilliant in your own right. And your opinions are 100%. I respect them. And I'm not trying to go against what anybody says here, but I just got really confused. So in Czechia, that's not the right number. In the men's league out in Czechia, he had allowed about 37% of the entries that he faced directly to gain entry into the offensive zone, which is about average among the draft class, but he shut down 33.33% of the rushes as well. It broke them up cleanly and reset and transitioned up the ice afterwards on 33.33% of them, which was, I believe, top 5 in the class, behind only a ridiculous number from Mats Lindgren in one game tracked, which, again, sample size there, so I don't really look into it too much, but he's one of the best at shutting down rushes coming into his own end. And when you guys said that, I was mind blown. So I just wanted to throw that out there. David Jiricek is a very interesting player to me now because I did not see that offensive dynamism, to be perfectly honest with you guys. So that was really interesting to see all the dialogue on him. It was really cool. But before we get too out of it, we have Sam Tierpak drafting for Columbus. He decided to go with Matt Savoy, I believe, I think, is what I remember. For Columbus. Take it away. Anybody who wants to talk about Matt Savoy can go right ahead while I set up the next pick.
Matt Savoy's dynamic as an offensive player. He's got great skating. He's got the passing and the creativity. He's got all of the offensive skills. The size is the concern here. He's a little bit slight, and I'm not a huge guy. I know I'm gonna hear probably I'm probably gonna criticize size more than a lot of people on this chat, but normally I'm not a size guy. I was a big fan of Cole Caulfield, big fan of some of the other smaller players. One of the things that concerns me about Savoy is he keeps getting hurt. He's had a number of injuries, some of them head injuries, concussions, and that's a little bit scary. Regardless of size, when I see a player who's coming through junior who's had at least 2 or 3 concussions, that can that scares me a little bit. But the dynamic talent is definitely there. So if the medicals check out, and I'm sure NHL teams are going to know more about this than we do, I wouldn't have a problem taking him top 10. But if he does slip on draft day, then I think that's going to be the reason why. If we're looking at on draft day and he's still there at pick 15, people are going to point to the size, and I'm going to say it's not the size that made him fall. It's going to be NHL teams concerned with his medicals. So that's the one caveat I have when we talk about him. But if the medicals checked out and Columbus took him at 6, I wouldn't have any criticism of that because he is a dynamic offensive player.
And we have the pick for Ottawa coming in at 7th overall. It was taken by Gordon Monroe. He decides to take Frank Nazar out of the NTDP, another one of my favorite players. And right after that is the Detroit Red Wings, who I picked for at number 8. I decided to go with Jonathan Lekaramaki. So if anybody wants to talk about Frank Nazar before I talk about my own pick, while I set up the next couple picks here, go for it. Anybody can speak up.
I mean, if you're going for Frank Nazar, talk about speed. This guy is a hell of a skater. This guy just feels like he's one of those players that is. I'm not going to compare his speed to Connor McDavid. I'm going to compare the fact that I feel like he gets faster when the puck is on his stick. He's going to play at Michigan, which I'm very sure is not going to do any problems for him. I think he's going to flourish in the Michigan system. He's a very silky player, has great vision, and if that's what Ottawa is going for, I think that's what you want to build your future around.
For sure. I really like Frank Nazar. Oh, go ahead, Fred. Sorry.
I think finish up Nazar because I was thinking I was going to go into Lekamaki.
Oh, yeah, go for it.
Well, I think that's a very good pick, especially that's a really typical Red Wings pick as well. Like, that is definitely a Steve Yzerman kind of move where it's like someone with one of the best offensive sides to his game. Like, he's such a fun player to watch. He has exactly what you want in an offensive player. He has speed. He has great offensive vision, and he seems to find space, especially without the puck. I think I've noticed a lot. Like, his ability to find space in defense to get the puck, to receive it, and just a fantastically fun player to watch. And I think he should be someone who would complement very well with someone like Lucas Raymond, Moritz Seider on the power play. Like, I think the Red Wings with that pick could be a very scary team to watch.
For sure. And I was actually giving a lot of thought when I picked up Detroit. I was like, there are 3 players that I'm really considering for Detroit. It's Frank Nazar, Jonathan Lekaramaki, and Marco Kasper. With Frank Nazar going a pick before me, I was perfectly okay with that. I have Lekaramaki as my 4th ranked player, if I'm not mistaken. 4th. So I'm really high on Lekaramaki, as you mentioned, Fred. Such a fun player to watch. Very similar to Logan Cooley in some ways with his dynamic offensive abilities. The Russian 5 was famous in Detroit. They're building the Swedish 5 now in Detroit with Steve Yzerman, which, fun fact, something I learned when I was doing my Tampa Bay Lightning draft prototypes, looking back at all the drafts that Steve Yzerman was a part of, not once did he draft from the SHL in Tampa Bay. So going a different route with Detroit, which is really, really interesting. Just a fun fact for you guys as we wait for Sam to make the 9th overall pick for Buffalo.
One question with Lekamaki. If you were the coach of the Red Wings, where would you play him? As a center or as a winger? Because I think that's the question as well with him, because he is very versatile. So I think the question is, where would you play him on the Red Wings?
I would start him off at center. I think it's always good to start players off at center. Gives them a good understanding of what it takes to play at the NHL level as well. You look at wingers. Wingers don't really have to play a really complete game, and I feel like if you put him at winger, I believe it was Tyler Johnson who talked about it before he left Tampa, after he left Tampa, because he was shifted to the wing as well a little bit, and center wing towards his final couple years with Tampa Bay. I remember, so it was right before he left Tampa in the playoffs. He was moved back to his his natural position at center, and he talked about how he's able to take advantage of his speed a little bit more at center because he has more room to work with. Again, playing a more overall complete game. So I think Lekaramaki is a really, really good skater. You want to maximize that ability as a skater. Put him at center to start. If it doesn't work out, you can kind of move him around like you mentioned. He has good versatility, but absolutely start him at center if I'm the head coach of the Detroit Red Wings. Which I'm absolutely not qualified for, but that's where I would play Lekaramaki. I'd put him at center to start, definitely see where it goes. Worst comes to worst, he can play wing just as well, so I'm not too concerned about Lekaramaki moving forward because of his versatility. So I'd start him at center.
I think you've got to be comfortable as well if you're Detroit leaving him in Sweden for another year. He's in that Djurgården system, which is just producing talent at an insane rate right now. They are pushing out high-end prospects as well as any team in the world right now. And so you have to feel comfortable leaving him there if he's not ready, and knowing that he's going to get the best possible development with that team. They have a lot of young players on that team. They were relegated. They're going to be playing in the Allsvenskan next year instead of the SHL. But that may even mean more ice time for players like Lekaramaki and 3 other players on that team who I have ranked in the first round. They will certainly get a lot of ice time playing down a division. And the Allsvenskan is not a bad league. It very much so. A lot of players develop and come out of that league as well. And coming from that coaching system and that development, I wouldn't be too worried about that.
No, not at all. So again,
No.
I know Sam is running a little bit late. He had some things going on before he could join. He should be on shortly. He still hasn't made his pick, so he's definitely busy at the moment. So let's just do another quick rundown of the top 8 so far. Maybe favorite picks you're not so fond of. We got Shane Wright at 1, Nemec at 2, Cooley at 3, Slafkovsky at 4, Jiricek 5, Savoy 6, Nazar 7, and Lekaramaki at 8. Favorite picks, least favorite picks.
I think one of the more fun things that so far has happened is that out of the 8 picks made, only one is less than like off the board, but that's number 9, which was Lekaramaki for me. That is the only pick that's been off the board for me, like slightly. Like that I think it shows how, even though we talked about how we watched Jiricek completely differently, the two of us, Carl, we still have managed to get like quite a similar consensus so far in this draft. But I think it's interesting how similar that actually turned out, because I was thinking someone would drop a little bit. Maybe someone like Slafkovsky would drop down to like maybe the 15s or something. So I think that's interesting.
I have Nazar and Lekaramaki at 11 and 12, so they're not particularly off the board going 8 and 9. Not huge differences there, or sorry, 7 and 8. Not huge differences there. Couple guys slipping, but not. I was higher on them than I think a lot of people were. So I'll talk about them when they come up. But I think it's pretty much gone. Similar to script at this point. I don't see anything really, really crazy here. I really like Cooley to Arizona. I love that fit. I am going to be doing my own full mock at some point before the draft, and I'm sure I will have a Cooley to Arizona, because I really, really do like that fit of that pick in there.
And we have the ninth overall pick is Cutter Gauthier. I think it's Gauthier, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
All
Gauthier.
Right. He goes number 9 to Buffalo. And Chaz, if you want to speak, I didn't mean to cut you off, but if you want to go ahead.
No, so good. I'll add a little bit to Kargoche, but first, I would just want to ask, out of the first 9 picks, how many of these guys do you think play in either the NHL or AHL next year? I'm just wondering because I do know Shane Wright. As much as you guys have said, he's probably going to go back. He might go back to junior. I think inevitably Montreal is going to throw him in the NHL. And I do know for a fact Simon Nemec did say in his interviews that he will be playing in North America next year. So do you guys have an idea of where who might make the jump to the NHL or AHL or get that 9-game stint?
Definitely one in right, but you have Cooley, Nazar, and Gauthier, who are all committed to the NCAA, if I'm not mistaken, so they won't be there. Maybe Nemec, but that might be a stretch. He is going too, so maybe New Jersey kind of rushes him a little bit, gets him over to North America. But that's really the only one off the top of my head that I can think of. I don't see Savoy going or Lekaramaki going. Yeah.
Many of the 2021 picks came to the NHL full-time, more than the 9-game stint.
I think Cole Sillinger was the only one to actually stay in the NHL, but he went at I think he went 12th or somewhere in the top 15.
Yeah. See, that's I'm kind of thinking that the pandemic has a lot to do with this, because these two draft classes have missed, whether it was their 16-year-old season or their 17-year-old season. They had seasons interrupted in March of 2020. Last year was a mess. The 2020-21 season, depending on where they played, if they were in the Quebec League, they got a start and then finished the season. WHL, they got in 20 or so games. OHL, they didn't get in anything. Even those who played in the Swedish junior leagues and that were shut down last year after about 10 or 15 games for that season. So I think it's affecting these two draft classes, and I think that they're a little bit behind where we normally see people. So if normally we see 4 or 5 guys make the NHL, I think we're going to be at 1 or 2. Because and I think the pandemic's had a big effect. It's simply reps. It's simply amount of ice time, number of shifts. They haven't gotten the same number of shifts as a typical 18-year-old, especially in the last 2 years, which are the most important 2 years prior to the draft.
All right. So at number, 10 now, right? Number 10 with the Anaheim Ducks. We discussed before the stream that the person who was running the Ducks couldn't make it, unfortunately, and he hasn't sent me any of his picks, so we're just going to discuss now. Who do you think the Anaheim Ducks should take with the 10th overall pick, with who's remaining? There are still a lot of top guys that are out there. I'm going to run out really quick. I need to plug in my computer, so you guys can discuss, and I'll come back, and you guys can let me know if you made a decision or not.
Well, I think one thing for certain is Anaheim does not need any more centers. I think you have a 1-2 punch of Trevor Zegras and Mason McTavish in the middle. My best player available is Marco Kasper, followed up by Joaquim Kamel. But I wonder if they go the defensive route. And my third highest defensive ranking, or my best player available, is Ryan Chesley. If they go for a defenseman because they lost Hampus Lundholm, or do they go the winger route and go for an all-dynamic offensive team?
Yeah, I can see that, because I do agree with. I don't think Kasper he would have been the best available, but I don't think Kasper fits them. So for me, it's either they go for another forward with Joaquin Kamel, or a winger who has been really, really interesting as well. But yeah, else it is the defenseman, and if you want the skilled defenseman, I agree that that's probably right. But for me, the third best defenseman I have is Denton Matuszek.
Yeah, I have the highest player on my board right now is Kemmel. I have him pretty high. I have him at 4th, fifth. I have Kemmel at 5th. The highest defenseman on my board is Matejchuk. I love the way he skates. I love the way he controls the puck in the offensive zone, and the way he walks the line and can just make plays at the blue line, open up passing lanes and open up shooting lanes. With his lateral movement and his hands. That's who I have as the top defenseman. So I think it's between the two. Is that you either go with the winger or you go with the defenseman. I think we're all we're all agreed on who the top winger on the board is. But there is some debate on the defenseman. We have two with Matejchuk and one with Chesley.
I think
Kyle?
if we do best player available, then I think we can agree that Joaquin Kamel would go at 10. And I think one of the most important things of being a GM is when you have that high pick, you never really go for need because needs come and go and needs can be fixed in other ways besides the draft. When you are drafting a homegrown player, you want to go the best raw talent. And I believe that would be Joaquin Kamel.
I agree with that. I think he is probably if you want as well raw talent, I do think Joachim Bell is probably the best one available on the board. I think he's such a flashy player. Again, we saw it during I think it was juniors where he really, really stood out to me, especially.
So we're going with Kemmel to the Ducks at 10?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So that means Walmaz is on the board with the San Jose Sharks at 11. And to talk on your point, between Matejchuk and Chesley and Kemmel, like the three guys that you kind of laid out when I got back. I'm very low on Chesley, which it is I think, and I'm not going to get too in depth about it. I'll wait for later. But I'm particularly low on Chesley. I'm sure you've seen in my rankings that were released yesterday. Kemmel was my best player available at that point. And Matejchuk is I believe, the next top defenseman. Actually, no, he's the second best defenseman left on my board. So yeah, I do like the pick of Kemmel for Anaheim, especially the Zegras-Kemmel connection that could be there if Kemmel makes it. I think Zegras and Kemmel would work out really, really well together, especially with the way Zegras plays and the way Kemmel's goal scoring. I think that would be a really good combination for Anaheim. Now San Jose takes Denton Matejchuk. So there you go, the little debate between Matejchuk and Kemmel. Matejchuk goes right after. Any thoughts on the San Jose pick of Matejchuk?
Yeah, I'll just. Would you like to go first? There's another. All right. He's a really aggressive defender. He definitely kills rushes. When I'm talking about defensemen, I focus way more on the defensive game. Do the job that your position is made for. But that's not to take away from how good offensively he is. This guy can walk the blue line, like I believe Ben said, and he has a very, very good shot. But I still think he can get a little better. He has very good IQ and vision. And quick fun fact, he is the cousin of Owen Pickering, who is projected to go later in the first round or maybe even early in the second round.
All right, and we have at 12th overall, Columbus. Sam has joined us. He decided to take over Columbus. Who are you going with the 12th overall pick?
Give me a second, guys.
It's okay. How are you doing?
Anyways, let's see who's available. Jeez. By the way, how are you guys?
I'm good. How are you, Sam?
Doing very well as well. Hope you're doing good.
Packed up schedule, but it's for the better.
Okay.
Give me another second.
I will say you missed the debate about Jenacek between me and Kyle. We had that run again.
Okay.
Wait, I brought numbers to defend my reasoning. I did have a legitimate reason. What I saw was what I saw. It's just, I guess I just got a weird batch of games. I don't know. It's really weird. I don't know.
You were not wrong with the progression part because he did progress defensively a lot this year, but progress doesn't mean good.
All right, who's after Sam here? We have the Islanders going after Sam. So that is... Oh, Chaz. All right, so perfect. We have the next two picks. Yep. All right.
All right. Columbus at 12. Let me see who's already been picked. Psyched. I hope this guy is available. I need to double check though.
If you want to throw it in the chat, I can let you know.
Uh, it's gonna be a second.
No, take your time. We're not in any rush here.
Yeah.
It actually buys me time to get the next couple picks set up so we can move a little smoothly as well. So maybe it was necessary to take a quick second here.
Good. All right. So this is gonna be the most typical Columbus selection. They're going with right winger from Russia, Danila Yurov at 12 overall. I just think it makes so much sense for them.
Yurov was, yeah. I loved Yurov's game. I was a little low on him, but not because of his skill. It's just, I don't know how NHL teams are going to feel about drafting, players out of Russia, which is unfortunate because obviously the kids aren't really involved in what's going on. But you always have to take into account that I don't think they'll really care. Who knows? But it is one of the concerns that I had.
It's more to the effect of, okay, in what time do they transition over to North America, more than, okay, is this kid a war criminal or something? Because they are all 17, 18-year-olds who all they see is basically just they want to play as much as possible, albeit Europe played like 6 minutes the whole freaking year. So
Yeah, that's what I think could kind of scare off team is the fact that if you look at his stats, he doesn't look great, but oh good lord, when you look into why, it's like because he has like 18 seconds per game or something ridiculous. Which again, I don't understand how you can do that to a player. Like, why is he not just in the WHL or something like, or WHL and VHL, something like that?
Yeah, that was like my ice time in high school. That's
Yeah, I think that's, if anything scares off, it will be the transition, and then it will be where is he playing between now and when he gets to North America, because is he going to get any ice time? That's a legit question. I think with his development is you've got to project these players and you've got to see a path. How do they make it to the NHL? And if you're seeing this path as we have no control over where he's going to play, he's going to stay in the KHL, he's going to stay with his current team and his current coach, and he's going to be used. Last year he was used as a 13th forward. Does he move up and get to the fourth line and get 4 minutes a game instead of 18 seconds? Like, even that's not going to do him any good. He needs to play hockey.
I think slim, but still something to look at is, I believe it was Vasily Podkolzin from Vancouver, right? I think he barely played in the KHL, and then he came to North America, and he did fine. I think that's one of maybe the positives that you can take away from it, but it is very difficult to project, just because of the lack of the role that he has in the KHL and just how much his development could be stinted because of it. So Yurov is definitely, I like Yurov, don't get me wrong. I do like Yurov. I think he fits in really well with Columbus. Like you said, definitely a Columbus type of pick. But yeah, that's definitely a concern that might be had. But again, Columbus does not care what you think about their picks. We saw that with Igor Chinakov. Exactly. They don't care what you think. So I think that's a very typical Columbus pick, like you mentioned.
He is the highest on my board. Like, as much as I've criticized him, he is the best available player on my board right now.
Yeah. So with the next pick, we have Chaz with the Islanders. Go ahead. Who's your pick at 13?
So I cannot believe he fell this much, but it was for the sole reason that teams 9 through 11 and even beyond that didn't really need centers. I took Marco Kasper because I think he is a typical Lou Lamoriello pick. I think he could be very easily molded into having a two-way game. He's a strong player. He's 6'2". He does like scoring goals right in front of the net, which if you know Lou Lamoriello or some of the past players that he's had, like Claude Lemieux, or even attempting to get, or even in Toronto, he had James Van Riemsdyk. I think those are two very good comparables, but he is still a very speedy player. He does have good vision, and he has a high effort. He brings out high effort about every game, or at least the ones that I've watched him play. And I think one of the most important things is when tracking effort, you don't just watch the world tournament games like the World Juniors or like the Olympics or anything. You want to look at his games in the SHL that he's played. I think he's shown consistent high effort every game.
What
Yeah,
like there is a concern with lack of production, they say, and I just don't feel like there is any concern at all, because on one hand, yes, you would like your top players in the draft to produce a lot more than say 10 points in 50 games almost, right? But when you account that Marco Kasper spent most of the year on the shutdown line, uh, guarding the best lines against and just being the defensive center on Rögle. I go back to the draft year where Cirelli slipped the third round and for lack of production. And that was such a freaking mistake. And I have Cirelli actually as the best comparable for Casper in terms of high compete, defensive game, smartness in the neutral zone and defensive zone. And also, like, better or worse, the lack of production, right? She really had lack of production in OHL, which was like, oh my god, what the hell? But yeah, he turned out good.
it turned out very. I will say, Casper is one of the few players I actually been able to watch live this year. I watched him like 3 times, I think it was live, and each and every time I thought he was stand out because of his work effort. He does not quit on any play. If he steps on the ice, you feel it in one way or another because, and this is NHL. This is immensely cocky, and he does not look out of place. I think we saw it during the Worlds as well, where he has a shift against, I think it's Norway or something that I watched. I think he has a minute where his work rate is literally the only thing that keeps that puck in the offense. It's also great chances after chances after that. And he just keeps on turning around on the balls and like make plays, keep getting the puck, chasing the puck. He has that type of Zach Hyman almost like, give me that puck and I'm going to keep it. That like, I'm keeping this puck. This is mine. You're not getting it from me, and then make a play from it. That effort is just brilliant. And he has some skills that I think is better than Zach Hyman's. I think he's better offensively. I think he's more. He has such a good skill set and tool set to open up defenses.
Creative than Hyman, like
yeah. Oh yeah, but again, Zach Hyman gets through with work efforts pretty much. But this is Zach Hyman, but with actual skill involved. So for me, that is such a solid pick, and he is one of my favorite, if not my favorite pick of this draft.
All right. So following the Marco Kasper pick, the Winnipeg Jets, which is run by Spence, which is Kadri for Kerfoot on Twitter. He writes for OT Heroics, if I'm not mistaken. He selected Pavel Mintyukov, the Saginaw Spirit defenseman there. That's a great pick in my opinion. Some people might disagree. He is one of my top defensemen. Not the top available on my board, but he's definitely one of the top defensemen who's rumored to go in the top 10, supposedly. So it's definitely something to look at. Any thoughts on Pavel Mintyukov before we get to the Vancouver pick for, I believe...
Calm your expectations.
Sorry, what was that?
Calm your expectations with Mintyukov. He's at times really rough. Like at times, I know there's those like Saginaw almost doesn't have a system, but like he's at times defensively as a defender, like he's tough to watch, and hopefully team takes its time with him and just gives him 2-3 years with full development, works with his skill set because he's an amazing skater. Him on the rush is extremely good. Like if you can develop him right, you get Jake Gardiner in a good way. Like
Thank you for specifying.
Yeah, because as soon as I said I needed to set up because as soon as you mention Gardner, everyone is like, "Oh, turnovers, turnovers."
I was gonna say this has to be the most Winnipeg pick ever because what's better than one Josh Morris season? Some people say two of them, but I'd say some probably a little better. But that's
add in
probably his
Heinola, and
best
you have three of
comparable.
them.
Yeah. So Winnipeg just loves their puck moving defenders who, sometimes they look like they can play defense, but no, probably not, just because they're a Winnipeg pick.
Yeah, the defense does scare me here. I do have him. I think he was my best defenseman on the board right now. I do love his offensive game. I love the way he rushes the puck. I love the way he skates. His shot has really improved over the course of the year. All of the offensive tools are there, but as Sam says, the defensive game is rough around the edges. He gets himself out of position. He can throw some really big hits. He can really, like, there are some times where he will hit a man and just crunch them, but he also gets out of position looking for those hits, and if he misses, then he's in big trouble. And as well, when he away from the puck, he tends to, I call it puck watching, where you get so focused on where the puck is and what is going on that you lose. You get tunnel vision on the puck and you lose what's going on around you, what your man's doing, your man getting into open space, and so he leaves some guys open when he tends to watch the puck even if it's not his man, and he's not paying attention to his man as much as he should. So that's the big criticism there, and he'll need to work on those aspects of his game.
Moving on, at 15th overall, we have the Vancouver Canucks. I believe that's Fred. And next is Sam with Buffalo. So, Fred, who are you going with 15th for Vancouver?
Well, we've definitely gone with some classic picks from teams, and I'm going to continue that trend with probably one of the more Vancouver-type picks. Of course, I'm going to go with the Swedes then. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Noah Östlund, which I think is a really, really fun player to watch and a really, really interesting playmaker. I think he has so much playmaking ability and a vision to find, again, ways to kind of make those plays off the rush and really, really disrupt defenses and get the puck to the high danger areas. So for me, I think he's a really good pick. And Vancouver doesn't really have any specific needs, but they need
good
guys like that. Yeah, they need just good players. That's the thing. They have a lot of young players coming up, and then they have old guys. And it's like there's a weird medium of like not really anything.
Weird stuff for me is with Vancouver is when you project a guy like Östlund, which I project as like middle six center, because he's really good defensively and two-way guy in general. But when you project them, you can almost see with Vancouver especially, you can see the depth chart kind of forming in front of your eyes. Like you have Bo Horvat on top, right? Or Bo Horvat or Elias Pettersson, right? Those are your top two guys. The third guy is Noah Östlund. And you can either, based on what you draft next, and someone might pop, you might move Östlund to Pettersson to wing, and then have Pettersson, Östlund, and someone. And you start to see the depth chart forming up in front of your eyes, and you get a very weighted out center core. So I think in that sense, it makes a lot of sense to go with Östlund. I think he falls into draft just because he's not 6 feet tall. We know that this is the case, and we know that's going to happen. But yeah, I think he falls. But this is such a good. If they pick Östlund here at 15, I think it would be such a valuable pick for them.
Oh yeah, again, his ability. He's such a deceptive player. Like he can make a pass out of nowhere, and it's so interesting to see how well he just sees it.
What I love about him is that he can play with anyone and adjust to anyone. Like him and Ögren are not that far off in terms of like how they can play with anyone else. That's why they are so good together, and that's why Djurgårdens were so good together, because so good as a team, because Ögren and Östlund basically carried whoever was on the right wing in the later part of the season because Lekkerimäki was up with the SHL team. So it's almost like you have two glues that glue the third part together, and if you get one of them, that's good. I can see also a case for Ögren with Vancouver because you're adding another Podkolzin type player, maybe better. I would probably say better a little bit. So yeah, those are those Alex Killorn type guys, Anthony Cirellis that can play with anyone, play any situation, and just give you valuable minutes and playing time.
You
Yeah.
put them on the ice and they will do good.
Yeah,
Yep.
Osland and Omgren, they were so much fun early in the year with Lekkerimäki, and then they really didn't miss a beat later in the year when he wasn't on their line anymore. Like you said, obviously there's going to be a little bit of a drop off. I mean, you can't take that type of a prospect off and not expect it, but it wasn't as much as you'd expect. Like they still produced the two of them, and we're still good at both ends of the ice. So I'm big fan of all three players on that line.
All right, with the next pick, it's Buffalo at 16. That's Sam. If you're ready, you can make your selection.
Yeah, of course. I was just waiting for you guys to stop talking. No, just kidding. Yeah, so Buffalo Sabres select Ryan Chesley, adding some defensive stability into the group of very high octane offensive defensemen. So for me personally, like I saw, for me, Ryan Chesley was the top ranked guy on defense, and just could not pass up the opportunity to potentially develop a player that plays 22, 24 minutes a night with either one of Power or Dahlin for 82 games of the season and possibly off season, postseason as well. It's
So,
just,
oh no, you can keep going, Sam. Sorry.
yeah, please talk.
All right. So it's interesting. I brought him up earlier when I can't remember who it was. One of the NCP guys. Oh no, when we were talking about Anaheim's pick at 10, they were debating taking Chesley at 10th overall. So I actually brought up Chesley. I was about to talk about him, and I was like, you know what? No, he's going to get picked later on. Let me talk about him then. I'm actually not a fan of this pick. And again, I 100% respect any and all of your opinions. Like I said, I don't want to drag anybody down, especially you, Sam. You've helped me so much throughout the time that I've kind of worked hand in hand with you with some of my projects and, of course, these videos. But Chesley's one of those guys that I'm really concerned about on the NTDP because his partner, Lane Hudson, who I'm extremely high on, seemed to do a lot of the work for him. I noticed in a few games when Chesley makes a mistake, especially off the rush when he's facing the oppositional rush. He tends to get beaten a lot. He steps up a lot and gets burned to the outside. Other times he'll make a decent play but then cough up the puck right away or turn it over. And it seems like Lane Hudson time and time again has stepped up and kind of made plays to almost not bail out Chesley, because Chesley's a really good player in his own right and I don't want to drag Chesley either.
What I found with Chesley, sorry to interrupt you here for a second, but I found with Chesley is that yes, I believe it's the system thing with the aggressive offensive opportunistic plays he makes. I think it's almost in their blood, in NTDP blood, that they are so aggressive. They have like in every year they had like Luke Hughes and now Lane Hudson and else that just chimes the pucks up the ice. And they told him, like, if you want to get better offensively, you have to do that too. I think that's part of it because I think he's more of a safer guy within the system. Like, he's not a guy that's gonna be making one-on-one offensive opportunities and go through entire teams and stuff. He's gonna be like, okay, retrieve the puck, pass it, get it out of the zone, and regroup. Most like DJ Brody or someone. who also early in his development made a lot of these mistakes with the just trying to be puck mover, like offensive puck mover, and he was just not good at that. So he fell back a little, and with Chesley's like saving his ass, like he saves his ass himself most of the time. Like he makes a mistake, he returns back, he falls back, and does good defensive play, gets the puck. Probably like 50-50 chance he gets it correctly to someone. And yeah, just I think I talked with some people, and it's just there are some guys that are built for pro systems instead of junior ones. I think like Shane Wright is one of them. Ryan Chesley is another one of them. And we will get to him possibly, but Noah Veren as well.
I know Ryan Chesley is a very popular player amongst the US and TDP players. I know in a voting they did, they had Ryan Chesley as the hardest defenseman to get around. And I do agree with Sam. I think his play style way more fits an NHL system than the US NDP, where I believe Kyle said it's more of a high octane, go press in, and it's just super energy, while Ryan Chesley is more of that just kind of sit back. And that also explains why, Kyle believes that Lane Hutson's doing all the work, because Lane Hutson fits out perfectly, that he's more of that smaller, aggressive, like, I won't say suck up, but like he does all of the right things. And unfortunately, Lane Hutson, might fall because of his height. I do believe that if Hutson was 6 foot, then he could potentially be in the top 15, but
yeah, he's the third best defenseman if he's 6 foot tall, or
definitely
close to that. Like it's
even if he's 5'10",
and then it's Hudson. But the size concern, I cannot go around that. Like how many defensemen make the NHL as 5'7"? We know 5'8" guys, and Lane Hudson is listed as 5'8". Watching him play, I do not think he's 5'8". Like, not even be close. But
he came in 5'8" at the combine, but he also came in 158 pounds.
Also, he brought papers from doctor to combine, say that he's gonna be.
I'll say that has to be one of the. That has to be one of the best stories coming out of the combine this year. Well, you just imagine like a kid that looks like he's in 7th grade, weighs less than I do, and I'm about a year or two younger than him.
Hey, sir,
and he's just doctor report like it's a physical playing a high school sport. Like, here, coach, here's my physical. Like, that's just a funny picture. And to go back to Ryan Chesley for a second, I think University of Minnesota, where he's committed to, is going to do wonders for him. Him and Logan Cooley going there, that's going to be a pretty tough team to beat this year. It's probably my favorite to win it all.
All right. So with that pick of Ryan Chesley, we're going to go to number 17 overall, which is Nashville. That is Chaz on the clock whenever you're ready.
Completely out of sorts with the Chesley pick, because I was going to pick Chesley if he didn't go here. So if I could get 1 second.
Yeah, take your time.
I had this whole nice speech set up for I was going to take Chesley at Dallas because he was a right shot defender. He would have paired nicely with Thomas Harley. Dallas has the offense and the goaltending. They don't need that. I might just go with one of the guys that I have.
Oh, sorry, wait. Hold on. Before you make your pick, Chaz, it's Nashville, and it is Fred who's up.
That's what I thought it was. Yeah. That's why. Okay.
I did say Nashville.
I got confused for a second. I was like, what's the one?
I said Nashville, but I also said you because I looked at the group chat to make sure I had the owner right instead of looking at the official spreadsheet. So that was my fault. Mm-hmm. It's Fred on the board, and then it's Dallas with Chaz. Sorry about that.
It happens. I'm gonna go back to the essentially where I went with my Vancouver pick and pick Liam Mogan. I think again that line we talked about before. It's a very similar pick to Noah Östlund. It's just again a glue player, and it's a good player that just makes sense for a team that especially needs a winger. which I think Nashville does. So for me, I think he makes a lot of sense there.
All right, now we can move on to Dallas. If no one has anything to add to the Ogren pick, which I think is a fantastic pick, by the way, I had both Ogren and Ostlund in my top 10. Anybody or not? We can move on to Chaz now, who is very, very excited to make his pick for Dallas.
I'm pumped here. So I was going to go with the defenseman for Dallas, draft off need, but going by my morals, not drafting off of need, I am going to take Isaac Howard. And I was thinking between him and Lambert, and I kind of saving Lambert to see just how far he drops, or else he would be my pick. But Isaac Howard, he is not the fastest player. He is not much of a defender either, but offensively, he's pretty dynamic. He has the goal-scoring touch. He has a great shot. His positioning in the offensive zone, he moves to create space. So I'm just picturing him and Jason Robertson and Rupe Hintz on the line, which could dominate in the Lone Star State for probably the better part of a decade. He's also going to he's going to go to Minnesota Duluth, which has a great program. Probably, I'd say the fourth or fifth best collegiate program for hockey. Although I do see him much more of a Michigan boy. Yeah. I'm thinking of Boston College. No, that was good. I do think that St. Cloud State definitely is over Duluth. But yeah, I think I can just see Isaac Howard in a Dallas uniform, and I definitely have probably the worst explanation of the pick, solely because Sam had to come in here and take my guy 2 picks before, after I have about a half a paragraph written for him. But in other words, Isaac Howard, I believe, will be going 17th.
So
just a quick note to that pick. For me, when I was doing Nashville's, I was between Ogren and Howard. That was the 2 players that I contemplated, and they changed my mind last second because I just think Nashville needed a glue player. I think Howard is a great pick, and yeah, I think he's going to do well in Duluth here next year. Not sure I agree with the ranking of Minnesota College this year, but.
So I'm on the clock with LA at 19. This one's an interesting one because LA is one of those teams that have drafted so well in recent years. They've been unbelievable with just how they've put together their prospect pool. So I think they're going to go with just highest upside, in my opinion. Get the most value, which I think this might be a bit off the board. So prepare yourselves. But I think I'm going to go with Jagger Firkus at 19 for the Los Angeles Kings. I think he has immense upside. And
if he pulls that mustache out on draft floor, top pick of the first round, no questions asked.
Also, best bloody name of the draft,
for sure.
In my opinion. That is such a good name.
I really like Jagger Firkus. I think his upside is immense. And if there's any team that's going to take a risk on Firkus, it'd be one of those teams like an LA who they've drafted well. They trust their development system. I think another team that could take a risk on Firkus if he falls that far is the Tampa Bay Lightning. They love their development system. They trust their development system. So they are more willing to take those guys that might need a little bit more development time. But LA has a lot of patience. They've already, they made the playoffs this year. They're already starting to round into a contender consistently year to year. Byfield hasn't really hit a stride yet, but once he does, they're going to be even more dangerous. So I think, they can be patient with Firkus. I think that's the best team that Firkus could go to just because of their history with development and drafting and their prospect pool. I think he'd fit in really, really well there for the Kings. So that's why I really like that pick. It's a little off the board. I'm not going to lie. I had him ranked as a high second-round pick on my board. But I really, really like his upside, and I think LA takes a swing. They're one of those teams that would.
I had LA picking Brad Lambert. I thought you were going to say Brad Lambert as the highest upside, the connection with Samuel Helenius.
Same, and I was ready to compete.
I totally thought you were going to say Brad Lambert too, but I know you are not the biggest fan of him.
I'm not. I'm not.
I hate Lambert, but I thought he was gonna pick Lambert for LA.
All right. So
Yeah, the guy's a dick. Sorry.
Oh no, that's fine. That's fine. You know more about the guys out in Europe than I do, and but yeah. So Lambert continues his fall. But at 20, we have the Washington Capitals. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the Capitals are
Andrei Kuzmenko is signing with Canucks.
Yeah.
Woo!
Fred. Fred is the Capitals, so Fred is on the clock.
And yeah, again, this is another case of literally pick the highest prospect because they again just need a prospect. The Capitals just again another team that's been good for a long time need someone. So I'm gonna go, and this is probably the same. You might have to help me with pronunciation here. Gleb
Trikosov.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
From Omsk in the KHL. I'm thinking like he reminds me a lot of like a player that has a lot of I think natural upside in his offense. So not necessarily the greatest defensively, but I don't necessarily think that's what they need. With Ovechkin especially, kind of reaching the age where at some point he's gonna slow down. At some point he has to. So they do need some wingers that can come in and do like something scoring wise, and I think he has some really good abilities there to kind of be a real difficult player to compete with. So yeah, I think he's gonna be good. And again, Russian, obviously the Russian, what is it, like tax or whatever you call it, where it's like, will they come again? We talked about it before with Europe.
is falling, by the way. I hope you all know that. He's falling possibly to a third round.
Possibly.
Yeah, like that's.
It's again, we see that every year. Like someone's just dropping, and you just wonder why is nobody picking him up? We had that last year as well.
I have just a quick story on Trikozov before we get to Chaz's pick of Pittsburgh. So what I do now, I have a new sort of routine where I wake up early in the morning. I go to my local Dunkin' Donuts because I'm from Massachusetts, so it's just what we do. And I set up shop and I write my articles, I do my research, whatever it is that I want to get done that day. And I go with a friend usually who does his own work. And my friend, his name's Kyle Walker. He plays in the Null actually, so shout out to him. But anyways, to stick back with the story, he thinks I'm a big time scout. So he's like asking me questions like, why don't you text these prospects and be like, hey, want to get an interview? And I try. It's not like I don't try, but I don't go for really the first round guys because the odds of them responding are very low for a guy like me who I haven't really made it yet. But he's like, why don't you text this guy? Who are you writing a scouting report on today? I was like, I'm writing it on Gleb Trikosov from Russia. He goes, just text him. I'm like, dude, he's not going to respond. He's from Russia. I don't know how he'd respond to an American kid texting him out of the blue. And my friend's like, I'll do it for you. So he texts Gleb Trikosov, right, on Instagram, DMs him. He responds in literally 2 minutes. And it's like midday in America, so it's late at night in Russia, or give or take. And he responds right away and he goes, thank you, no problem. It was the funniest response because it didn't make sense. He just said, hey, one of my friends is writing a scouting report on you. I can send it to you. He's like, thanks, no problem. It's like, wait a minute. I didn't expect him to respond, but yeah, that was my cool Gleb story.
It's when you get the second date with a chick that you thought was out of your league.
So, sorry about the
That's funny.
phone going off in the background, but we have Pittsburgh going up. That's Chaz, if you want to go into your pick. And then the following 2 picks before we get into it is 2 teams that were not claimed, Anaheim and St. Louis. So we can have a little discussion on Anaheim and St. Louis in the chat. So Chaz, take it away whenever you're ready.
So as I'm going through the prospects that already drafted, I thought there's a lot of fits for Pittsburgh. And then I'm kind of sitting here thinking about the future of the Pittsburgh Penguins and how it might kind of resolve itself. But at 22, I have Pittsburgh taking Connor Geekie. I'm definitely not his biggest fan. I only had him ranked 17th. I just think that with Evgeny Malkin missing that there's going to be a huge hole through that center depth. And I think that if Pittsburgh is starting to turn the way to start kind of rebuilding or replenishing their very, very shallow pool of prospects, I think Connor Geeky is a good way to start. I mean, he is a Brian Burke and Ron Hextall player. He's 6'4". He uses his size to an advantage. He's had okay production. It's been over a point per game, but this
Good
is
looking
probably
Freddy got you.
he is. But I think this is probably the biggest boomer bust pick of the draft, because either he ends up a very good second line power forward, or he just doesn't make it at all. So it's going to be one of the two.
All right, so
He
Connor
needs
Geeky.
the skating
Oh, for
freaking
sure.
Yeah.
like 4
The
years
skating's
ago.
bad.
Just pure
They,
like what people were talking about with Anton Lundell in his draft year.
Oh my God. Here
What
we
people
go.
thought of Anton Lundell skating in draft year is actually Connor Geeky
Yep.
in
It's
every way.
By the way, shout out Sam. Me and him were both high on Lundell throughout that entire draft. We both had him top 5, I believe.
I had him at 3 and got
Yeah, so-
shat on for it.
Yeah, so we both
I
had
believe
him
he
at
was
3.
my top 10.
that's better
Honestly,
than me. I picked Fabian Lysell at 3. That came to bite me in the ass.
I put Lysell. Hey, it's not as bad as me having Lysell as my top ranked player in that draft. So, you know,
I do remember that.
yeah.
I had when the Lundell draft, like if I was more confident in myself and more veteran of a scout, I put him number 1. I put him number 1. I trusted him that much.
I wasn't that high on him, but I definitely saw a lot more value in him than anybody was giving him credit for.
And we saw this year.
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%. I love Lundell. So before we get too off topic here, because it is 1:30, some guys have to go by 2. So let's try to finish at least the first round here, maybe part of the first round before 2. So in the next 30 minutes, we have two teams that don't have GMs in Anaheim and St. Louis. So who do you guys think Anaheim should take with their pick at what overall are we at here?
23rd.
22.
Okay, 22. If they went for a forward, if they went with such a dynamic player in Joaquin Kamel at 7, I think you got to go for a defenseman. My best defensemen on the board are in this order: Owen Pickering, Liam Bichelle, and then Kevin Korchinski. If they want to go the big defenseman route, I think that
Korchinski, they're going to go Korchinski.
Yeah.
they are very big fans of puck moving defensemen. I mean, of course, you saw they took Jamie Drysdale very high a few years ago. But like I said before, I'm not a big fan of puck-moving defensemen who don't have a defensive game. So, I mean, in my opinion, you got to go Bichelle here. Pickering has a lot of holes in his game, but for the sole reason that he's 6'5", he's going to go in the first round.
So I want to add to that. Again, I try to do as much research as I want. I don't just watch film. I also try to read as much as I can on every prospect. Just do my due diligence everywhere. If I'm missing something, I'll read up on it and then I'll reevaluate. So it gives me a broader view. I read a mock draft done by The Athletic. I can't remember which writer it was for The Athletic, but they did a mock draft and they went a little in detail with the Anaheim 10 pick. He actually had Korchinski going at 10. In that mock draft, which to me was, in my opinion, kind of ridiculous. But they did mention that they do have Jamie Drysdale, so Jamie Drysdale's on the smaller side, more of an offensive guy, so I do think it's going to be Korchinski at this pick. I'm not a big fan of Bichelle, so I would rather take Korchinski at that spot. But yeah, so do you guys agree with the Korchinski pick for Anaheim at 22?
Honestly, if I was Anaheim, I'm picking Noah Veron. Stuff him behind Drysdale for next 10 years. And just fucking whatever you did right with Manson, do it again with Veron. But honestly, with this pick, we have to pick as a group, I guess. If the group says
Whatever you guys pick, I go with, because you guys definitely put a lot more time to this than I did. So
Fred, do you agree with the Korchinski pick or something a little different?
I think the Kuczynski pick, it's where it makes sense that they probably do it, but it's a player that's been difficult to pick out, I think.
Ben?
I think Korchinski looked such a good WHL playoffs. He really looked good during the playoffs. And there's a little bit more. I saw a little bit better defensively than I had seen during the season, during the playoffs. So I think there has been some progress there. I've got him. He's like top defenseman available, and then Owen Pickering's the next after that.
So Korchinski is going to be the pick for Anaheim. Everybody's good with that? Realistic? It's most realistic.
Yep.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm not a big fan of Korchinski either. Don't get me wrong. I still have a defenseman ranked a little bit higher than him, but which is Seamus Casey, which I know a lot of people will disagree with.
I wanted to mention a name here with Anaheim that I think would make so much sense. Roger McGrorty. He would look so good in Ducks jersey. Other than
that would definitely complete that.
Oh.
Yeah, like him playing left wing with Trevor Zegras.
Oh God.
McTavish.
Him playing left wing with Trevor Zegras and then McTavish behind him.
So are we changing that pick to McGrorty? Does that make sense for everyone?
Keep Korchinski.
Pick Korchinski?
I think Korchinski makes sense.
I think Korchinski makes. I think Anaheim, who loves puck-moving defenseman, goes Korchinski.
All right. Are you saying that because you want McGrorty to yourself, or?
I don't pick again until 29, and I have a completely separate player at 29, unless I picked up a lot.
So Kevin Korchinski goes to Anaheim. It is, which brings us to St. Louis. Who do you think St. Louis goes with, guys?
Owen Beck.
No.
That's his name.
No hesitation at all.
I'm still yet to see what people see in him for. He's one of those that I've not seen.
He is a type of player.
I love Owen Beck.
In the mold of Ryan O'Reilly, Robert Thomas, and Brendan Sapp, and others that just I think is just. I said that name without hesitation, just on pure vibes.
I see it. I completely see him fitting into the St. Louis Blues system.
St. Louis would be a good fit. But
yeah, I would say that if they didn't just pick Zachary Bolduc last year, and I know they love Zachary Bolduc in St. Louis. I mean, it's never a bad thing to take a center because you could always move them over. I do think that they go for a left shot defenseman now, but there's not many good ones on the board. Not bad ones, but not ones that probably fit their playing style. Trying to say this to not offend everyone here, but not maybe a Craig Berube player.
Kali Odelius.
Yeah, he would be one. He's left shot, I remember.
Or Simon Forsmark.
Ooh.
I would pick Kalle Odelius before that.
Yeah,
I'll tell you what.
Personally.
I'd take Odelius before Montreal does with their final pick in the first round.
Oh, after that, their questions? Yeah.
Yeah.
Odelius, Owen Beck or Cali Odelius are we going with here? Is it Odelius? We've settled on him?
Owen Beck.
Well, you didn't even let me make my case for Brad Lambert. Nah, take one of the two.
Let him fall.
I think both works in St. Louis.
Yeah, so we'll go
because it is. Yeah, let's do that.
Great. Come on. If Lambert is picked up by a team coached by Craig Berube, he would ask to never be allowed to enter USA. After
so you're saying he would deny his own American status going?
Yeah.
Next up is Minnesota. which is Fred, obviously, at, I believe, 24, 25? 24. 24, yeah. Minnesota.
Yeah. And I kind of briefly mentioned that one of the main needs of Minnesota, like it has been for literally forever, has been center depth. And I think here, if Minnesota gets him in real life, I think they will be very happy about it. I think this is where you take Roger McGorty. I think he goes there. I think it makes sense. You get that top six locked up with Eriksson Ek lines on the third. You get that Marco Rossi with Kaprizov, Boldy. You have him. You have McGolfy as a second top six center. I think that makes a lot of sense to pick him there. And I really like him.
Yeah,
Bill Guerin, that's all I'll say. That is a Bill Guerin pick.
All right, next is...
I think it's more so Jude Brackett, actually, that does it. I don't think Bill Guerin have that much to say about that.
Yeah, but that is a play that did remind me of Bill Guerin when I was going over his output and numbers.
Next up is Toronto at 25. Sam is picking for Toronto. Who's your pick?
I'm gonna go. I have two names on my mind right now. Actually, no, wait. Actually, three. But well, all right. I'm gonna go with the minute munching Tristan Luno at 25. He's a type of player I think they are trying to perfect in terms of development because they can play with anyone. Like they brought in TJ Brody, and I think they are pretty comparable that way. Just save, like you can depend on them, the situation, and they get you some offense, but not much. Even though Luno had like freaking 45 points in 60 games in Q, which is pretty decent. Yeah, Tristan Luno is my pick here.
All right. So that takes us to our next pick, which is Montreal. Ben, at 27. 6. Sorry. Jeez, I'm all over the place.
All right. Well, Montreal has 3 picks in the top 33, has 8 picks in the top 100. And so I think from their perspective, they can afford a gamble here because this player just has too much talent. Would have been a top 5 pick if not for some extenuating circumstances. And I think that they take the gamble here and they go with Ivan Miroshenko out of Russia. Would have been I would have had him as 6th on my board. I have him as an honorable mention because I don't know his medicals. If his medicals are bad, obviously
he should be good. He should be good to go.
He's super cleared, actually.
Yeah,
I think I saw that he's cleared.
Yeah, and with him falling down the board and where he is, I think it's just too much talent for Montreal to pass on. And they're the type of team with all those picks that they can put one into the risky category and go high upside and swing for a home run here. So that's where I'm going to go is Ivan Miroshenko, a pure goal scorer, offensive winger out of Russia. And he would make a nice line mate for Shane Wright, I think.
All right, so now we have Arizona on the clock. Arizona is run by Wally. Now, unfortunately, he's another guy who took a team that won't be able to make his picks. He just reached out to me literally 2 minutes ago saying that he has COVID and he is really struggling. So he's not going to be able to make his picks, which is totally understandable. So we will have another discussion, this time for Arizona. Earlier in the draft, Arizona took, let's see, who's
Cooley.
Cooley,
yeah,
I think.
Logan Cooley at number 3. That is right. Yeah.
Bear in mind they love their NTDP guys.
So you setting this up for Jimmy Snuggerud? Is this a Jimmy Snuggerud pick if we're going
Or
That could be
I just want to throw this out there. I do have Seamus Casey as the top-ranked defenseman on my board. That you guys may disagree with that, but Seamus Casey is available as well for Arizona, and they did take Logan Cooley, so maybe they go defense.
My question is, if they go for a defenseman from that region, would they not go on Blaine Hudson instead?
Ooh.
I mean, they have 7 picks to choose from.
Yeah. That's all.
They have a lot. They need everything. So
They basically have their draft table on the podium in the second round, so I think there's definitely a chance to get their defenseman there, especially
Okay.
Seamus Casey.
All right. So
Uh,
so we'll go. Jimmy Snuggerud seems to be the guy that was mentioned.
he would make sense,
Or do we go
especially
Brad?
with Cooley.
Or do we go Brad Lambert? He's still on the board. It seems like we're forgetting about him a little bit here.
I'm just like with Arizona. Can they
Good.
have-
Please keep forgetting.
I'm with Lambert there. Like Arizona, can they afford to take a chance like that?
Him, just Brad Lambert changing teams 4 times in the last 2 years. Such a red flag. It's crazy.
but that would totally fit in with Arizona. So
That's a fair point.
Yeah, he
He would-
I mean, he would ask for trade 4 times a year, so why not?
Do we banish him to?
Might as well.
Do we
yeah,
banish
let's
him?
just do you want to just bury him in Tucson?
Good.
Gonna play in the
Yes,
Colts
good.
arena.
Play with Accuretti.
He never got to play junior hockey in Canada, so he can play now.
There you go. Yeah.
Good for
So,
WHL teams. Good.
He
So
belongs in the queue.
on a real note, it seems like Snuggerud and Lambert are the two guys. Do we have, trying to be realistic here as well a little bit?
I
So
feel like Snuggerud makes most sense.
Snuggerud. Anybody disagree?
I think Snuggerud feels like an Arizona pick. The one thing I will say is because they have so many picks, they could have. Lambert was the other one I was gonna go if I didn't go Miroshchenko to the Canadians, because of the same argument that you could take the risk on this real boom or bust prospect because you have so many picks. And that would be the argument for Arizona as well. They have so many picks, they could afford the boomer bust chance to try and get a really, really dynamic talent. And if he busts out, well, you had 5 other picks in the second round or whatever it is. But Snuggerud definitely fits their bill as well because they love the NTDP. They've got Cooley already. You'd be playing those two, you'd be bringing those two together.
Chaz, Snuggerud or Lambert, are you thinking?
Well, I'm the one that brought up Snuggerud, so I'm just gonna stick to that.
All right,
So because
we'll
I know
We'll go Jimmy
Yeah.
Snuggerud, yeah.
I'm good with Snuggerud.
All right.
We almost got it managed.
So
We'll be going
close.
soon.
So close. Hey, Arizona has plenty of picks in the second round, so we still have an opportunity there.
He is definitely still there.
So
do they have Colorado's pick?
Chaz. Oh, what? Sorry, what was that?
Do they have Colorado's pick too?
Yep.
They
From
do,
their
yeah,
super
they
trades?
do.
They do still have one pick in this round.
So Florida's
By the
on
way,
the clock.
do not count Tampa out ever.
Hey, listen.
So-
listen.
They are-
Don't get my hopes up, Sam. I've always been negative. The last 3 cup runs, I've always been negative. Just let me be negative, all right? It's worked. It's worked.
Dude, after I saw them, like survive and win the onslaught in Game 7 from the Leafs.
Yep. I would say
I'm not counting
even
them out until last second of loss number 4.
I would say even how they survived game 1 after game 1 of that series, the Leaf had them. That game was completely. I generally wrote. I think I wrote the Leaf are winning the series.
I know. I'm gonna say
And
this.
that did not work.
I'm gonna say this before we go into Chaz's pick for Florida. I'm fine with not winning the cup this year simply because I'm so satisfied with the last couple of years and the deep run this year. I'm just happy we weren't the first team to lose to Toronto in round 1. That is all I'm happy about. And that's how I'll end this. To keep the joke going, I'm happy it wasn't us. But anyways,
I'm not even a Toronto fan, and I'm shooting daggers at you for that comment.
I'm sorry.
This comes from a team that has lost perennial in the first round. I feel the pain of that.
That's all I could have asked for from this run, to be honest. But to get back on topic here, we have Florida with Buffalo's pick, apparently. I don't know. I put it together from Tankathon. I don't know how they got Buffalo's pick, but it says via Buffalo. So, Chaz.
Sammy Reinhart.
Oh
Tommy
Oh,
Reinhart
yeah, that's
trade.
right. Yeah. Okay, that makes
Along
sense.
with
Mhm.
Devon Levi. No,
So-
wait.
Yeah,
Hold up.
I think you're right.
No.
I feel like we can check.
We'll get back on that. We'll get back on that. So Florida's on the clock at 28. Who do you have, Chaz?
So looking through Florida's draft pass, one thing that they do very like, and I know one thing you guys like, is two-way centers. They picked Barkov a little whiles back, and they picked Lundell a few years ago. I'm going to continue on that train because the difference between Florida and Arizona, besides the absolute obvious, is the fact that Florida does not have many picks in the next 3-4 years. I'm going to go with Yuri Kulich.
Yes.
I had him around like 22, 23, 24, but
This kid's gonna be good.
I'm proud to say I was a Coolidge fan even before the World Juniors and World Championships, because that was where his coming out party was.
Oh yeah.
He just all over the ice, complete dominance, and I think his offensive and defensive game is very reliable. I think this is a very safe pick for a Florida team that has almost no picks this year, next year, and the year after.
Some freaking scoring.
So one thing I just checked this. It's actually Buffalo. That's the pick I actually think. It's the other way around. Florida got Sam Reinhart. Buffalo got Devon Levi and Florida's first. I think that's how it works.
Yeah. Yeah.
For me, it doesn't make sense that Florida got Sam Reinhart and a first. So I believe it's yeah. I just checked on Catherine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so going with Buffalo. Buffalo has a lot of picks, and I had them selecting Yuri Kulich. I think Yuri Kulich in the Buffalo system, they don't have very many centers. So after trading out Jack Eichel, if you're looking for someone who has a 200-foot game and had a very good world showings, you should definitely pick Yuri Kulich.
It's my team, my rules. Wyatt.
I don't know how I messed that. Like I said, I copied it from Tankathon, so I must have just either swapped logos or something. I'm sure it wasn't a problem on their end.
Easily can happen.
Yeah, I apologize.
Oh yeah.
But yeah.
So unexpectedly on the clock, Buffalo Sabres select Kali Odelius. Puck moving defenseman that can play both sides. It's physical.
Could be interesting with
good
Dome Power.
everywhere, and it's just decent player.
That could be a very interesting combination as well with Dome Power.
What?
I like the idea with him with Open Power as well. Actually, that could be an interesting combo. Okay.
So you have Odelius, Samuelson, Power, Chesley, and Dahlin. 5 of your 6 on defense.
Suddenly, that becomes a lot more feasible, and then you start seeing the signs of the rebuild going somewhere.
All right.
I like that.
Edmonton takes Meshar.
Yep,
I will
Philippe Michard.
murder
to Edmonton.
Gordon.
Yeah, that was another guy that I was paying attention to as the draft go on. Is like, I hope he falls to Tampa. I really hope he falls to Tampa.
I think he goes to Tampa actually. Not to get
so.
your hopes up.
No, I really do. I don't care who Tampa picks as long as it's not a guy like Roman Schmidt again, because that pick made me want to rip every single strand of hair off my head. That pick made me so angry. I couldn't believe they picked Roman Schmidt. Me and Gabe
what round was Roman Schmidt picked in?
Second round, yeah. Wait, sorry, was it second or third? I don't remember. It was one of the later rounds. It wasn't a first round.
60, wasn't it like pick 65 or something?
Yeah, so I think it was, because they had 2 picks within the same round. So it was probably third. They went Roman Schmidt and then Dylan Duke.
I remember that correctly.
And I really loved the Dylan Duke pick. I wish they took him first instead of Schmidt with that pick, and then went to someone completely different because I was not a fan of the Schmidt pick. But yeah, so Fleet Michard.
Yeah, he's big. He's adult size, so obviously you did not like him.
6'6", 210.
Yeah. Right. Pick number 96. in 2021. So third round, late
Yeah.
third round.
So then
Yep, third round.
Duke was fourth round, early fourth.
Hey,
So now
that's
it's
decent.
now it's Winnipeg with the Rangers pick. Yeah, Winnipeg is Spence. So we have some time because I completely forgot to notify him.
But yeah, I will say Mesha was one that I was looking at as well when I was doing the Minnesota pick. It was him or McCarthy, and it was basically a.
You should
I
have. I would have picked Roger McCarthy, a noted Leafs fan, to Toronto at 25.
Oh, that was my. I saw your reaction. I was like, I really not disagree with this pick, but no, I don't know why. But the reason why was we talked a little bit about it before actually we started, was the size about centers, and for me that little bit extra that Roger has is what made the difference in that decision. Because I think the Wild need a center, both of them were available. It makes sense to pick one of them, so I don't think I
Neither
had
of them are going to play center in the NHL. It's funny.
Who needs that?
I'm convinced Edmonton is going to pick Richard Lawrence at 28 or 29 or whatever the hell their pick is, just because he plays in AJHL.
All right, I just want to throw it out there. I texted Spence. He told me to spam him when his picks were up because he's not going to be like checking the chat constantly. So I just texted him and said, quick, or the Leafs will lose round one again next year. So if they lose round one next year because Spence doesn't answer quickly, it's on him. Just wanted to throw that out there. So you have someone to
All
blame.
right, Spence. Okay. You're asking for trouble. Eh?
I will say, just while we wait for possibly a question, in like take away your own rankings and everything, where do you guys think Brad Lambert go in the draft?
Second round.
I think Los Angeles is going to snag him. Honest to God, I think Los Angeles.
Either
keeps
LA
going
or he
the
falls
route.
to second. I think LA just, for some reason, just fits right. Same thing
Makes
with
sense.
Owen Beck. Yeah, same thing with Owen Beck and St. Louis. Same thing I have with Europe and Columbus.
I'm just really happy that Ferkus went before Lambert. I'm glad I was the reason for that as well.
By the way, go look up the images from the combine and
Oh my
Tell
God,
me
I
how-
saw them.
tell me how old you think Jiří Kulik is.
Oh,
let me show you in the chat. Right? Okay.
we'll give him until 156, just so we can get the first round, underway. We'll wrap up the last couple picks.
Yeah.
Do we have Arizona in the chat? Hopefully. Oh, Wally. Yeah, so Wally can't make it, so it'll be a group discussion for the next two picks if Spence doesn't answer. So we can get that first round done before Ben and I believe Chaz has to leave at 2. So
Yeah,
we'll get those
I'll try and make
check the
overall pick and then
with
go.
the chat.
I have 3 screens in front of me, one on the chat, one on the spreadsheet, and one on the Zoom. So
Check. This is Jiří Kulik on Draft Combine, 17-year-old kid. He looks like fitness coach who is 35, twice divorced.
I was gonna say I think that's my PE teacher.
They all look the same. By the way,
It has a.
I'm gonna put it out there that I think Winnipeg takes Brad Lambert.
Oh my God.
Oh, that would be.
The lack of coaching with the inability of Lambert to be coached.
If they do that, get Ehlers out of there. Save Nikolai Ehlers, please.
all right.
Yeah, get the team back to Atlanta.
I have it typed out. Do I hit send on Lambert to Winnipeg? How do we feel about that?
I mean, you follow in the. I feel like they have one winger from every country, so I mean, we can continue on that route. But does Winnipeg look for a center now that?
With
now
Shifley.
Now that Shifley's might be headed out the door.
Oh, Winnipeg is gonna pick Philip Bashtet.
Definitely.
Again, that
Or do we want to
why
go for another small puck-moving defenseman and
no
go with someone like Ty Nelson?
Ty Nelson is so small that he refused to be measured at the combine.
Did he really?
Yeah, he's the only one who
Oh my
refused. Whatever Ty Nelson's numbers you have, like take 2 inches off of them.
he should change careers and
Measured at the
be a
combine.
WWE wrestler.
All right. So what's the plan for Winnipeg so we can send it in real fast?
Luca Del Bell Balloons.
I've heard 3 different.
No, I'm kidding. I don't have him going till the second round.
Maverick Lamoro.
Should we punish Spence and give him Lambert because he didn't respond fast enough? Because Lambert, I'm being honest, Lambert does sound like someone Winnipeg would take. Like
He would be.
It feels like a Winnipeg pick. That's why I put it out there. It feels like.
Would you agree with that, Sam? Send him to Winnipeg, where no one wants to play. It seems.
Right.
On your face.
Lambert to Winnipeg, it is.
I think let's do that. Let's do it.
All right, so we have Brad Lambert going to Winnipeg, Tampa Bay Lightning on the board. I'm going to try to make it quick so we can discuss the last pick. I'm so happy that Chaz's pick didn't go through. Shout out Sam for changing the pick for Buffalo. I'm going Yuri Kulik.
I'm just thankful you didn't
with
pick
Tampa Bay.
Casey.
Yeah. Well, Tampa.
I'm still waiting for that pick.
Tampa's one of those teams where Hedman's going to be around for a little while longer. You have Sergachev, who's really developing into his zone for a top 4 defenseman.
He looks rough the last 2 years.
He has looked rough in these playoffs, but I still really like Sergachev. I think he'll be fine as a second pair guy below Hedman for the next couple of years. I know McDonough is eventually going to, fall off. Like he's just the style of play and how old he is now, how long he's been in the league. I think he'll fall off eventually. But Cal Foot's really developed nicely in the playoffs. I have to give him credit.
Eric Chernak is such a beauty.
I love Eric Chernak. So I think their defense is set. I don't think they go with just strictly a need. I think they go with best player available. Their prospect pool is so bare that they just go with whoever the best player available is. And in my opinion, that's Fleet Machar. I'm going to go with Fleet Machar for Tampa Bay.
Wait, Machar
has been taken.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
No, he was taken. All right. Never mind.
Yuri
I take it back.
I was going to
Yuri
say
Kulik.
you were very
Sorry,
happy
Yuri
about
Kulik.
Yuri
Yuri
Kulik.
Kulik.
Almost.
I said the wrong player. Yuri Kulik to Tampa. All right. Now
Oh my God.
that almost would have. Yeah. Yuri Kulik to Tampa. Sorry about that. Which brings us to Arizona. Let's get
Makes
a quick
sense.
discussion before Ben and Chaz have to leave. Who does Arizona take here? Do they go? Actually, no.
They
Brad
go
Lambert was taken.
Lambert.
Brad Lambert was taken by Winnipeg.
Oh, that's right. Shit. Oh, sorry. Do they take Perevalov? I don't know how high you guys are on him.
David Goyette.
I love David Goyette.
I
just
could
don't
see
know.
them looking
Yeah.
at. I could see them looking at Owen Pickering.
I do think that because I am a very strong believer that the sole reason that he's 6'5", he's going in the first round, even though Noah Warren is 6'6". The only thing with Owen Pickering, this guy is not strong. He is 6'5", but he only weighs something like
Dude,
170
he
or
was-
something.
Yeah, because he had a massive growth spurt. Like I think Joel mentioned Joel Henderson. I think you all know who that is.
Yeah.
Mentioned like 3 years ago he was 5'7". That's ridiculous.
So who are we going with for Arizona? I've heard a couple names. Any?
Who did Arizona take with their second first
So
round pick?
Arizona took.
They
Jimmy
took
Snuggerud,
Cooley
I
and then
think.
who else?
Jimmy Snuggerud, I think.
Snuggerud.
Yeah,
Yes,
Snuggerud.
Snuggerud, yeah.
So I would go.
Oh, they're
with the
picking
defender.
Swede. Forsmark.
You think Forsmark?
I would. I mean, they do have another
Or-
Swedish defenseman who hasn't really panned out for them.
Yeah,
as
who
much
have you
as they
seen?
hoped to.
Leon Bixel.
I think that's a whatever it is. I can't blank on the GM.
I think Arizona needs a defenseman, especially if they're going to be trading.
Chechen.
Yeah.
So
Chick-
Bichel?
It's not Chikrin?
Yeah, Chikrin,
Yeah,
sorry.
Chikrin.
Chikrin, yeah.
I'm pronouncing things better than Americans. Come on.
So Liam
By the way,
Bichel's the
by the
pick
way,
here?
I would say this. I like Chikrin playing on the right side at the end of the season was for Toronto.
Yeah.
Specifically for Toronto.
Let's show it.
So Liam Bichel to Arizona. Everyone's on board for that?
And
Yeah.
I find Bishop thing funny because he plays most of the last 2 years on the right side, and as a lefty, that's ridiculous.
All right,
I have to Pro League shut down pair.
So that's the end of round
I
one.
have to run, but I am up with this pick, so I'm going to make this pick before I run. Montreal has a ton of left-handed defensemen. They don't have a lot on the right-hand side.
No worries.
Baron. And so, and we've also seen Jeff Gorton's history with the Rangers he wasn't afraid of smaller puck-moving guys. So I'm going to take Seamus Casey here. And that'll be the first pick of the second round. But yeah, puck mover, offensive defenseman, played the power play for the NTDP along with Hudson at times. Sometimes they're on different units, but yeah, that's where I'm going to go. And I may be available on text for the last pick, or you guys might have to make it. You've got my 50. I've got 50 guys up on Last Word. If you click on any of my prospect articles, you'll see the first 50. So you could just take the highest player on that list.
You got it.
All right.
Thank you, Ben, for joining us, by the way.
No problem. It was a good draft.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. Have a great day.
You too.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump out too. This was very fun. I will be available within the next half an hour, but between 2:30 and 2:45, I'll be a little iffy. Try to, but not. Have a discussion. I don't have my 96 list filled out completely yet. I have holes. So if I have a pick, I think 47 and 51 are my next two picks. And I know I did pick up a few free spots just before this. So just have fun discussions, I guess.
Yeah.
But thank you for having me. This was awesome. And I will talk to you guys later.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Sounds good.
Kaz.
Thank you for being
Thank
here.
you. All right, so with the second pick of round two, we have the Arizona Coyotes on the clock again, of course. So who are we thinking for Arizona? I can run back through their previous selections. They took Liam Bichel with their last pick, Jimmy Snuggerud with the 27th pick, and with their third pick, they took Logan Cooley. So who do you think they go with? Do they stick with the NTDP one more time, or do you think they go with someone else there?
I feel like I don't know if they go with the NTDP. I feel like that this is where I feel like they filled most of their holes within the draft. Like they got obviously the Bender now. So like
the best player available on the consolidated ranking that I have in the spreadsheet, which is my rankings, Smart Scouting's rankings, Will Scouch, Elite Prospects, and Bob McKenzie's top 32. The top player available with that is David Guyette, followed by Jack Hughes, Matthias Havlid, and Owen Pickering. So those are the next four best players available. And then Lane Hudson would be, so the next five top picks would be those five. So anybody there jump out to you for Arizona if they go with possibly best player available?
I feel like David Gauthier makes the most sense out of that. I think we discussed him a little bit before. I think he could be he's one of those players that was probably the best on the board. That is one of the better on the board. So I think that's one that makes sense against center. It's always good to have a good plethora of those, even if you just need them for trade bait later on. I think that's one that makes sense.
Would you agree with that, Sam? David Guyette to Arizona?
I think it makes sense.
All right. So we're fine with Guyette to Arizona then?
Yeah.
All right, perfect. So David Guyette to the Coyotes. which brings the next pick on the clock, which is, one second, we have Seattle, which is, oh God, Jack Smith, who is in the group chat. So let's see if I can get his attention quickly. Again, we'll go through the first round really quick. Picks that you like, picks that you didn't like, while we wait for the next pick to come in.
I like my
I will
pick.
say, I will say, Kyle, you should almost get a chance to comment a little bit on the James Casey pick. Yes, because I feel like that's one that you have been invested in a little bit.
Oh, yeah. So as soon as I get Guyet's name written down and update the spreadsheet here, I can go into it a little bit more. So Seamus Casey, again, he's one of my higher guys. I know Fred reached out. He's like, you have a guy ranked top 10 that I have at 32. And he didn't say any names. I'm like, Fred, it's Casey. I know it's Casey. So if you want to reach out, you can DM, because I know that's one of the guys that I had ranked really high that not a lot of people really agreed with. So for me, Seamus Casey is, again, you guys can completely disagree. The David Jiricek conversation made me realize that, I view players differently. I mean, we all view players differently, but there's definitely the conversation to be had. So I'm just pulling up my grades really quick so I can better explain, because these are grades that I wrote down like after each viewing, so they were fresh in my mind. I can give you the best detail I can possibly give. So Casey is obviously an outstanding skater. One of the top rated skaters actually on my board. I would say probably top 10 skater in the class. His offensive ability is solid. I want him to work on the shot a lot more, especially the power behind his shooting. I think he lacks a little bit there. But he's a really good playmaker, and he has really good hands as well. He's not afraid to push the pace offensively, which I really like to see in defensemen. So I really like Seamus Casey offensively as well. Transitionally, he's not the best. He's not bad by any means. I would say he's more average when it comes to transitioning the puck up the ice, which is one of my gripes with him. But again, it's not really one of those things that I'm too concerned about with his game, because he's fast, he has the hands, and he has the makeup, basically. He's built to be a good transitional player if he's able to further develop that aspect of his game. So I have no worries about his transitional game, translating to the NHL level, sorry. And defensively, I feel like you guys are going to definitely disagree with this one. But in my opinion, he's really good defensively. He's got good positioning. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, just like Jiricek. But in my viewings, okay, he had good positioning. I thought he had, good rush defense, did a nice job angling guys wide, showed a nice active stick. There is a consistency issue with him for sure. I definitely noticed that. Shift by shift, the effort. You can tell laps.
I think he's pretty consistent.
So yeah, in my viewing,
Pretty bad.
So
I'm sorry.
There are times where you can tell he pushes the pace a little bit too much and tries to cheat for offense a little bit, which is not great for a defenseman. That's just his style. And again, you mentioned the NTDP is just more of that faster pace, attack the offense kind of style. But I think he embodies that a little bit, and he does a really good job with that style. But I don't think his defense is really a big hole, in my opinion, in his game. I think
it's average for U.S. National Team Development Program and NCAA and USHL standards. It's pretty average for that standard.
I think what he has is I think what he has is defensively. I think his stick work is really good. He's good at that part. But you mentioned yourself, he's such a wild player. He for me, he relies too much on his great skating. Like, he gets caught so many times and makes so many poor decisions, and it leads to so many chances against, and you cannot do that on the NHL level.
You are literally describing Tyson Berry.
Yep.
I hope you are catching all of the details you are talking about, because you are describing Tyson Berry.
Oh, I agree with you. He's not near my top 20. I agree.
Let's be clear. Like, Tyson Berry was top 10 producing offensive defenseman in the NHL for the last half a decade. That's something. So if he's that at any point in his career,
Yeah.
That's a solid first round pick.
And I'm banking on that upside for sure. Like I said, I really like Seamus Casey. He's one of my favorite guys.
Invest in it like in NFTs, please. Upside
He's a
is
lottery pick.
upside in players. Some of them, like in the later parts of the draft, like second day of the draft, like banking on upside is like investing in crypto and hoping you become a millionaire. It might happen, but it probably wouldn't.
But at the same time, again, for me, I can see why people sometimes go for it, especially in the later round, because at that point, the chances of your fourth round pick turning into anything is kind of low. So why not throw away net out and see what happens?
Okay, he like two players, A and B. One A has comparable tools to Tyson Berry. Not sure if he's ever gonna make it. Good bet. Second player, 6'7", never scored more than a goal in the junior league. Projects to be nothing but defensive defenseman on junior level. No puck movement, no nothing. So take your pick in later rounds. I would definitely go the A route, but
Agreed.
So
everyone picks players differently, I guess.
Seattle's on the clock, and Jack hasn't responded, so we can start having a discussion. I'm going to go over the 5 top players based on the consolidated rankings. Jack Hughes, Matthias Havlid, Owen Pickering, Lane Hudson, and Philip Bystead.
Who did Seattle pick before? Just to
Seattle picked Uri Slavkovsky at 4.
So
He's
again,
not gonna be there at 4.
So
for me, it's like
Simon Nemec was taken 2nd overall by.
I know, and I think Nemeth is probably like a pretty sure lock to Seattle.
I think so as well. But
Just
again,
based on some outside of Nemeth and Seattle things.
And Forcemark is still available as well. So is Elias Salmonson. I hope I'm saying that right. Ty Nelson's another one that's also available. Bystead is still available.
Oh my god.
Havlid is there. I feel like they would go for a defenseman if they get Slavkovsky. Then they have that 1-2 punch offensively. So I feel like then they would try and focus on the defensive group.
Or Matt Lindgren.
I really like Matt Lindgren.
Matt Lindgren is actually a good
WHL kid.
So Matt Lindgren to Seattle? Are you good with Lindgren to Seattle? Makes sense? Fred, would you agree?
I think that could work. I think that could be a pick as you happen.
All right.
No trades so far.
No, not at all. Which I mean, I'm on one side I'm happy with that because it's less chaotic in a sense, like on my end.
You have less work.
Yeah. I'm happy for it. On another note, some people might get a little in over their heads and be like, all right, so this is just a mock draft. I'm trying to get the best draft I can possibly get. And so they don't really think like how this could affect the team, how realistic it is, because they just want, oh, this guy's falling. I want to trade up and make sure I get that guy, where realistically it probably wouldn't happen. So I think from that standpoint, I think we're better off not having any trades.
And NHL scouts are a lot more honest than you will realize. Probably.
Probably, yeah. I will say I was looking very much at the possibility to trade because, again, I know Minnesota is looking to move Kevin Fiala. That's the worst kept secret, I think, in the NHL at the moment.
So
everyone knows that.
Everyone knows it, but the question is just to who. Is it going to be to New Jersey? Is it going to be to Ottawa? There's so many names thrown around.
Nylander is on the market, by the way.
This offseason is going to be wild, by the way. Like, generally with Fiala, the Brinkats.
No, I know what that means because you told me something the other day. Oh, no.
I get.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah. Oh, God. That could be bad. Anyways, not for Toronto, that's for sure. But anyways, Arizona's on the clock, so let's have some more discussion here. They got the pick from, I believe it's Philadelphia. Hopefully I didn't mess that up, so I'm just going to throw that out there. From Philadelphia, if that's a real trade, I don't know. I might have switched. It could be Philadelphia instead of Arizona. Who knows? I'm just going to go with Arizona there. Their last pick was David Gayette, and the pick before that was Liam Bichel. Who do they go?
Marone.
I just realized what the trade was. It's a Shane Gosper player.
Oh,
It's that where the build-up, it just gave Arizona everything, and then they got future considerations.
so with that in mind, do you think Arizona maybe goes another defenseman here after taking Liam Bichel? Do you think they go with, Owen Pickering's still on the board. Do you think they maybe go Lane Hudson since they took the big defenseman earlier?
I could see Lane Hudson going there.
So
I could see that.
They took Liam
I'm
Bichel.
I'm waiting between. Do they actually would like an NHL team be brave enough to select Lane Hudson in top 40? I'm dangling between that and would he be picked until like 120? I'm not sure when he lands.
There's so many players this draft where I'm like, where the hell do you go?
So if we're not confident on Mats Lindgren, other defensemen, again, Matthias Havlid, Owen Pickering, Elias Salmonson still available.
Oh, Salomonson to Arizona.
Oh, Samuelson actually makes a lot of sense there. Oh my God.
They're like Swedes. They're like NTDP guys.
Yeah. Also, having watched a bit of him this season, he's a good player. Like that's a big bet. I think would be a very solid one to get to that.
I agree to disagree, but yeah, sure.
he's not one of the top 5 defenders, no. But I think at 36, I think he makes sense.
So
he is what Carson Kulemans was last year, and that's a guy that looks like Cale Makar once every month, and then the rest of the year looks like an average Joe trying to figure out hockey in his league.
I will say it is very true. He needs consistency. That is his biggest weakness, I think.
So it's funny you bring that up. Salmonson is one of my. So I have a grading system in my spreadsheet which specifically grades out raw tools. It doesn't take into account risk of the pick or potential or anything like that. He's one of my top graded guys on just his raw tools alone. Again, it doesn't take into account consistency, which is a big question mark for Salmonson, as Sam mentioned. But he is one of the higher graded guys. I think he has a really good ceiling.
That makes sense.
It'll be very difficult for him to translate that. Again, consistency issues among other things. So it'll be interesting to watch his development. But I think a swing on day 2 is worth it for Salmonson, in my opinion. So
he's the type of player that you draft and you just give 5 years to work on anything he needs ever.
Yeah. Let him.
Yeah, like
you let him play in Skellefteå for like forever. Like he plays there for the next 3 years.
Skellefteå, AHL, and just
But yeah, I agree. It is he needs a long time. He probably needs 5 years until he's ready. But I think Arizona can wait that long because again, right now Arizona is not exactly going to be cup contending for anything.
Yeah, and in 5 years they're going to be at Houston. So
yeah, probably that'll be back.
I still think that the whole Tampa arena thing is a fugazi and it's never going to happen.
They need that so badly. They need that plan to go through. If it doesn't, that whole project falls apart. And again, at that point, you kind of have to move it.
All right, so we just got the pick in for New Jersey. This pick is from Gordon. He went Julian Lutz at 37. I hope I pronounced
that's
that
a
right.
good one.
I like that a lot.
Julian Lutz.
He is a very high floor guy. Like his floor, I think, is a third line guy. Like he's a safe pick, but you mentioned it before. With these picks, you probably want him to develop into something, and he's a good player to have.
If you are giving an honest comparable, which you should at this point, like Berkeley Goodrow.
Yes.
Yeah, I would have said Jordan Greenway, but yeah, it's a really good guy to have on your lineup. So.
Sure.
All right, so Vinny's on the clock now for is it Chicago? I believe it's Chicago.
Also good to finally have the first German in the draft. They've been we've been so used to just seeing them have like so many German players being picked in the first round. It's a weaker year for them.
It was like 2 years or 3.
Yeah.
Before that,
Oh yeah.
dead.
Oh yeah, but like the trend has kind of switched now from German prospects to now Slovakian prospects really jumping up. So for me, I'm still hoping at some point Danes comes, but I very much thought we are having rubbish draft class currently.
What dumb decision would?
So we have the Chicago pick coming in. The Chicago pick, they take the best player available based on consolidated rankings in the spreadsheet with Jack Hughes, the second best Jack Hughes entering the NHL.
Jack Daniel Hughes, Jack D Hughes, and I'm gonna give him that D. That sounds bad. I'm gonna give him that B in the middle of his name.
Where is he even in my thing? There we go.
Jack Hughes to Chicago, which means Ottawa.
That sounded. I realized mid sentence that would sound so bad.
So Ottawa's now on the clock. Gordon's already typing out his pick. He's more than ready to go. I like Jack Hughes. He's not a first-round guy in my opinion, but I see him as an early to mid-second-round pick. So I think that's a good choice there from Vinny for Chicago.
Yeah, I agree. Like it's probably where he's going to go around that area. So I think that's fair.
All right.
Sorry.
Again, him going to New Jersey would also be an interesting one, actually.
That would just be funny.
That would be funny just for the sake of having both of the Jack Hughes stuff. That'll make it really confusing for a commentator.
Jack Hughes to Luke Quinn, Luke Quinn. What?
The Hughes passes it to each other.
But it's gonna be the new Jesper Hansen Johnson.
There it is.
There we go.
Ottawa
there we go. Someone picked.
Has taken Lane Hudson.
Massive skill, but man, this is a question mark with size. And
At 5'8", I would cover him. I swear to God.
It's again. Had he been a forward, I could see it work. Defenseman,
not even that. Even like that would be like cutting it. Defenseman.
Oh God. I'm on the clock now.
But for me, with the defenseman, the one defenseman that's small is that works for me is Eric Spurgeon, but he's not. He's still like 4 inches tall, I think, or something like that. So, oh
man, I don't know who to pick.
I got one for myself.
Go for.
I got one for myself.
Who do I go with?
Oh yes.
Oh man, I have to.
Who do I pick next? Actually,
I have to pull out my own spreadsheet now. Oh God.
Yeah, where you guys been good at picking like people from my top everything. They don't have a like specific skill, which is probably a good sign, but also frustrating.
Man, do I do it? Do I go with that? I think I'll go with that. Oh man. All right. Yeah. Screw it. I'm gonna go with. Do I go him or? I have two names right now. All right. Yeah. I'm gonna go. With Nathan Gosher.
Yeah.
Nathan Gosher.
For Detroit. Oh my God. Yes.
Yeah. Oh.
Yes.
Again, that's a really typical Steve Yzerman move.
You got your third line center.
Yeah.
Like for sure, third line center. He's not gonna be anything more.
Hey.
He's probably not. But again, you need those.
Hey,
really do
Eiserman,
need those.
Eiserman, if you're watching the stream, because you most definitely are, I'm free to work for you and the Red Wings organization if you want. So just give me a call. I know you're listening. Which
Let's go, Stevie.
which brings up Buffalo with Sam. So I just took Gosher. Do you have your next pick lined up?
Luca Del Belus just yells Sabres for some reason.
Oh.
I see, just such a good playmaker.
Oh,
I did
yeah.
not mean to click that. I hope I didn't just call somebody. All right. Luca Del Bell's to Buffalo. Next would be Anaheim, which doesn't have anyone claiming it. So you guys can start a discussion while I update the spreadsheet here because I'm a little behind. So who do you think Anaheim takes?
Oh my God, Anaheim here. Oh, so they picking first, like Korchinski and Kemel. Oh my God. Oh, Jordan Dumais.
Would you agree with that, Fred?
Yeah, I think that's a good pick. I thought.
Just really quick to go through the top players still available. We have Havlid, Pickering, Bysted, Nelson, and Jilkin still available. So if that changes your mind, or
I still think it may.
Danny Jilkin, Ty Nelson, Fleet Bysted, Owen Pickering, and Matisse Havlid are still available for Anaheim.
For Anaheim.
Yeah, those are the top 5 players.
Yeah, I think Dumais makes sense. Maybe
Yeah, Domain actually.
Maybe Bysted, but other than that, I think Dumais there is a QMJHL connection because Anaheim surprisingly picks a lot of QMJHL guys.
Yeah.
For some reason.
Jordan Dumais. There he is. He's all the way down, ranked at 114.2 in the consolidated rankings.
Wow.
A little while. Yeah,
a point to really make the difference.
Yeah. Well, all of them have decimal, but yeah, you get that. Jordan Dumais to Anaheim.
With 17 and 17.4 selection, we're proud to select.
So now next on the board is Arizona, which I think is another team that doesn't have a. Oh wait, no. Yeah, another team that doesn't have anyone picking for them. So we have more picks to discuss.
Shit.
Arizona again.
Adam Sikora.
Adam Sikora. Oh, that's a good pick.
Actually, I can see that.
That's a good pick.
Sikora's not a
It's
bad
one of the two teams that actually expressed huge interest in him.
So Adam Sikora to Arizona.
Yeah.
All right.
I think that makes sense.
That does make a lot of sense. There you go. Adam Sikora. Now we have Columbus on the board. Columbus is run by
me.
Sam. Perfect. And then we have Arizona after that. So there you go.
Jesus Christ.
Why does Arizona have every pick in this draft?
The picks just relate so much to real life articles. Like Arizona. Oh, Anaheim. Oh. because Gibson is for sure going to Toronto. Yeah, so with Columbus takes sorry. Who is it?
Marcel. Please tell me you've watched Marcel, Sam. Just for his name.
I watched Marcel. Of course I watched Marcel.
It's such a.
That is a perfect name. That was a
Marcel. Yeah, and he's pretty decent as well. So Columbus selects with 40, whatever the fuck There it is. 44th selection. They select Simon Forsmark.
There he is. Yep. I was waiting for his name to finally be called.
So,
That's a good pick. That's a good pick.
That's a safe pick.
yeah, that's the
He-
thing.
he's
Here.
I was dangling between two names, and that's Tomáš Hamara and Simon
Mhm.
Forsmark.
Those are two. Yeah.
I know Leafs love Hamara for his puck moving.
So
Yeah,
Arizona
And-
back on the clock, of course.
Fuck, come on.
Top players still
Get that thing
available.
to Houston.
Matthias Havlid, Owen Pickering, Philippe Bysted, Ty Nelson, Danny Jokin, Devin Kaplan, Adam Ingram. Just a few names to throw out there.
Bysted.
You think
yeah, I
so?
think Bysted
All
here
right.
as well.
Yeah.
I'm picking.
So Philippe Bysted.
No.
All right.
Heavily Pickering. Oh, Pickering available for someone to take.
So
Because I'm
Washington
not-
is on the clock.
Yeah, and I actually think this is where he goes. I think
Yeah.
this is where I would take him.
Owen Pickering to Washington.
Again, yeah, I think again, Washington needs like a defenseman like him. They don't have that in the system, at least in the prospect pool. So I think he makes sense to go there. Again, then they have gotten a winger to kind of replace Ovechkin with a good shot, and now they get a defenseman.
And now it's Minnesota on the clock.
Yeah, and this is the difficult part because for me, the best player available on my list is a defenseman. And I actually don't think Minnesota needs that at all because they have so many good players like Carson Lambos, Ryan O'Rourke, Kalen Addison. So defenseman's not the need. So for me, looking into like an offensive player, it's this is where I'm actually going to check my board a little bit. Just a second, because I was actually going to pick Bysted for Minnesota just to get a player.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see there. I think I might go Devin Kaplan.
Yes, Devin Kaplan.
I think again Minnesota needs a winger. They need offense more so than anything. They have
Remember,
goalie.
their head of scouting is USHL NTDP guy.
Yeah, Jude Brackett's, which is
Bracket, yeah. So
fantastic guy. So I think again
gonna get at least one pick for himself.
he tends to. He picked who was it? Perez last year. Perez, I think he got last year from that area.
So with that said, I'm gonna say like Cruz Lucius, but I'm not sure. So it's all yours pick.
I can see that as well, but I feel like I think especially if they get a center, which I in the first one, I think they go winger. So that's why.
How about the Vegas Golden Knights, who are now on the clock? Again, if he's Havlid still available. Ty
They're just
Nelson.
gonna trade the pick anyway. Like they're gonna trade it in 5 years.
Yeah.
Or rights to abuse another goalie.
No, that's gonna be Dallas now that they have gotten Peter Gold.
Oh, Pure J got injured. Jesus Christ, that kid's gonna ask for trade to Toronto. Oh no,
That's such a bad.
such a bad thing. Oh my God.
Who does Vegas take here? What do you think?
You know what would be a Vegas pick? I feel like they would be someone who would pick
No, sir.
Vladimir Gordini. Gordini? I'm
Grudin.
better.
Oh, Vladimir Grudinin. Yeah.
Vladimir Grudin.
Would you agree
I
with
could
that pick, Sam?
see that happen.
I don't think they are passing on like guy like Sam Rinzel.
That's probably true, actually.
Yeah, that makes a lot of
I'm
sense.
just not sure because Grudinin is good, but also like he's gonna be in the KHL until he's like 25.
Yeah, that is a good point. That's a good point. And again, Vegas right now is like, we need to win now. So
Yeah, Sam Rinzel definitely feels like a Vegas player. Just like picturing like him wearing that jersey, his last name on the jersey, it just makes sense. I don't know. There are just some players that it just makes sense. So
Owen Beck.
yeah, Sam Rinzel, yeah.
Or
Sam,
oh my god, the look. You guys know the look. Ty Nelson pulled off at the combine.
yeah, you. I think someone sent that to the group chat. He had like a
Yeah, me.
yeah. Okay.
oh yeah,
That's just feels like Vegas. Like, but yeah, Sam Rinzel.
Yeah.
yeah. I think that makes a lot of sense, actually. I
All
can
right.
agree to that one.
So now we have Seattle, who is taken by Jack Smith. He didn't get a chance to put his last pick in, but he did text me saying that he was available now. So let's see.
Good.
On clock.
On the
Ready.
clock.
On the clock.
Man,
Yeah.
I'm so excited for the draft.
I am interested as well.
I did give him a heads up a few minutes ago, so hopefully he saw that.
I think it's the most. I don't know if it's open draft, but I think it's a very. It's not a draft that's set in stones compared to I think what it was last year, where it was very much. I think you had an idea of where people were going last year, and obviously there's then some picks that comes out of left field. But I think this year is so. I'm not gonna say weaker necessarily, but I think it's.
I would
weird.
say one thing about this year's draft that I was told by like multiple teams. Shit's gonna hit the fan after 15.
Oh yeah.
Nobody knows who goes where.
I did not spell that
For,
right.
for me, that's almost after 8 for me. I don't know where people are going to go after that.
So the... Oh God, I can't spell this name at all. If my life, I'm looking at the name and I still can't spell it right.
Maverick
Lamoureux.
To Seattle.
Well, you don't have to like bet an eye over it. He's not going to make the NHL.
He's
like,
a long shot
okay,
for me.
okay. Imagine if Keaton Middleton, who lives selected, or no, imagine Emily Rasanen, who leaves selected with Mark Hunter in charge of the draft, but worse skater.
Yeah. Again, I've had the pleasure of watching Emilio Rasanen over the past like 2 or 3 years. He's been in Denmark playing. Again, he's big, very big. He's very easy to get around.
Yeah.
So
the bigger they are.
Walmaz is now on the clock for Dallas. Any idea what he could go with here?
Dallas? He's getting Dallas?
Yeah.
Dallas? Oh, you know what would be a very Dallas pick?
Ty Nelson.
That was not the pick I was thinking of, but I was thinking.
Or Matthias Hevelit.
Hevelit makes a lot of sense actually as well. I was thinking Otto Salen would be an interesting pick to Dallas.
I do like Otto Salen. I think he's one of the more underrated guys in the draft.
I think because of his injuries, he's falling a lot from the radars. I think can he get a better and obviously get rid of the injury bug that's hitting him. He is going to be a very interesting player to see where it falls because he could be someone who suddenly jumps in terms of prospect pools around the league.
Yeah, for sure. And like you said, like injuries are something you can't really control, and it's derailed a lot of careers. So that obviously is going to bring a lot of pause, especially for a guy like him. But if he's able to, the dominoes fall in place, and he's able to, stay healthy, and continue on his developmental curve, I think he could be one of the steals of the draft. He has that kind of potential if the injury bug can kind of leave him alone a little bit.
Who?
Otto Salin? Salin?
Salin?
Salin.
Saline.
Salin? Okay.
Salin, yeah.
That's interesting.
I could see Dallas doing that, to be fair. I think it's a very Dallas pick. It's, again, especially if they didn't
You know
have
what's
Pete.
nuts with like when I think about the draft, you know when you picture someone in a jersey and it fits right? I picture Ty Nelson with the old vintage star black and green, black and dark green
Yeah,
Dallas
the,
Stars jersey on.
the really
That
good
fits.
Dallas Stars.
Mwah.
Yeah,
That fits.
They
that does
need to
fit.
remake that jersey. That was
It's
such a good jersey.
I'll give him a couple more.
I know it's weirdly accurate.
You know what they should do to the draft, like in the later rounds? Just have a retro jersey. Use the retro jersey on the draft to promote that. The retro, the
Oh,
reverse
yeah.
retro they're doing. That would be sick. I would love to see like Minnesota picks like someone like Donovan Kaplan, and then just goes, here you go, the new retro like North Star jersey.
I'm gonna
That would be cool.
I'm gonna give Wally a couple more minutes because he did see some of the messages earlier. He just hasn't seen this last one about him being on the clock. So I'll give him a couple more
See that
minutes.
coming.
But if he isn't able to pick Ty Nelson,
I think Ty Nelson makes sense there. I think so. The reason why I really liked Otto Salin going there is because of again Finnish connections. I think they have a lot of things there. And again, I'm so annoyed that Peter Boer got announced to Dallas as a hockey person, because Jesus Christ, did that make sense to have Jukka Jalonen being the coach of that team. Like with the players they have, holy, that could be a really, really interesting matchup. How much?
so he did look at the message. So hopefully he's going over his options. So we should be good there. He should be sending in his pick soon. So let's see if he goes with Ty Nelson. Let's see if he goes with what we just discussed. It'd be interesting. He might go Matthias Havlat.
I would bet a good amount he's going with Matthias Shapovalov.
Yeah, I could see that as well.
That's my bet for his selection.
I think
I would pick Ty Nelson.
Matthias Havlat is still available.
Yeah.
So maybe he goes, best player available, looks through the spreadsheet and sees him. Maybe he goes.
for good reason. He's not good.
He has some glaring red flags for me that has made me kind of avoid him.
What I realized this year when I was doing my draft ranking, and it was the first year where I actually realized that like fully. Like you go down your list, you do a write up on every player you rank, right? So then you have a player A, right, good offensive player, good skater, good skating defenseman, undersized but good. A, B, Dito. C, Dito. Another one. And you have like a conjunction of guys like Havelit, Casey, Hudson, like Lindgren and Ty Nelson, and I don't know, like you have like Mityukov, and you have Matejchuk, you have Odelius, you have Pickering, you have Salomonson, you have Korchinski. I just named like 14 guys that are offensive defensemen. How many of them are going to make the NHL based on pure just they win a role? Because there is not going to be much of that. And that's what I realized, like, oh my God, like these high value players.
All right, so
Some of them might work, some of them, most of them probably won't.
He's a very big game to pick for Web. I see people pick it, like put him, like when you see people put him like in the first round, I'm like always like, that seems very, very risky for a first rounder.
all right, I'll give him one more minute here. Because he has seen the last couple texts, so he does know that he's on the clock. Unless he just glanced at it really quick. Doesn't have.
Unless he. again, also for me, Havertz is also one that he jumped a lot due to the under 18s where he was just put up points for fun.
Oh.
I think Matthias Havlitz, I think that was where he had like what was it, 12 points in like 6 games or something ridiculous. Like his point total was
All right. So Ty
so
Nelson.
weird.
Ty Nelson goes to Dallas, which leaves me picking for Los Angeles. Man, you'd think I'd be looking at the list.
It's becoming more and more difficult the longer you go down. It's like, where in my list are we?
I will tell you guys a funny thing here. Like you see here, like Ty Nelson picked at 50. Right? Like, oh my god, okay. How did he fail? And we literally forgot about him. Just picking other players. That happens in the NHL.
Oh, for sure.
That happens every year with prospects that just they don't get picked in round one and you go, okay, we're gonna keep an eye on him. And you go few rounds and you just, oh, this guy, let's pick him here. Let's pick him here. That's why you get it's on occasion you get steals in like
absolutely
4 or 5.
Absolutely, and I bet you there's times where teams think that absolutely he has gone already, so they completely forgets that he exists. That it's like, okay, he's gone to somewhere, and then they focus on everything else, and then when he comes up, it's like, oh, we made a mistake.
All right, my pick is in for LA. I'm going to go ahead and take Danny Zhilkin with the Kings pick.
Decent.
He's pick. I like it. Good again. That's a good pick.
He's my best player available on my board right now, so I feel like that was a good option. The other guy I was considering was definitely Otto Salin. Sorry, I keep messing up his name.
Salin.
Salin.
Otto Salin.
Otto Salin.
Yeah, I was definitely debating him for LA because, again, LA loves taking those high upside guys. So he was definitely an option, but I feel like, I don't know. I like Jokin a little bit more. So I went with Jokin there. So top players available before we move on is Havlid still, top guy, Adam Ingram, Matyas Sapovalov, Vladimir Grudenin, Paul Ludwinski, Justin Cote, Marcus Vidicek, Jack Devine, now Zina Paravelov. Just a few names there. Who's up next?
Oh my god. Noah Varen is going to fall so far.
Who's going to fall far?
Noah Varen.
Oh.
I'm
on the clock.
For
okay.
some reason, when I watch him play, I just go, yeah, that's next Colton Parayko.
Who? Sorry, I wasn't paying attention.
Noah Varen. And you still aren't paying attention.
No. I heard it.
It's like...
Man, who do I pick?
Who? I didn't pay attention.
Detroit.
This guy. Okay.
Detroit. I was paying attention. I was, I swear.
Yeah, sure. Oh, Sagina connection. I have one.
For Detroit?
Yeah.
I want to hear what you say first because I already have my pick in mind. But before I submit
Shapovalov.
No, that's not who I have.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with Cruz Lucius for Detroit.
Oh.
I really like Cruz Lucius, and I think this is a good spot for him to go.
I was kind of hoping he would drop to Minnesota because I would have picked him again. You mentioned before with your bracket connection.
I really like Cruz Lucius. I think that's a really good pick for Detroit. Does he fall that far? I mean, there's definitely a chance he falls that far just because of like the season that he had. But he is so good, man. He's so good. I really, really like Lucius. He would be, in my opinion, if he played a full season and didn't have, the issues that he had.
Top 15.
Yeah, 100%. He's like at least a top 20 talent. And even with his injuries, I would so much as say that I wouldn't mind the Lightning taking a reach for him at the end of the first round. Just because, again, their prospect pool is really, really getting at this point thin. So I would love, I wouldn't mind seeing Tampa take a reach for Lucius in the first round because his talent level is really, really good. So, yeah, I really like the Cruz Lucius pick there. So now it's Anaheim, which does not have a anyone owning them. So Anaheim, you guys can discuss really quick while I update Spence because he asked me a quick question.
Who would Anaheim go for?
Did they pick a right shot defenseman?
Anaheim has picked.
So Anaheim has picked Jordan Dumais. Hold on, where is it? Jordan Dumais. Did they only pick twice? Kevin Korchinski, Jordan Dumais, and there has to be one more.
Joakim Kimmel.
And yeah, Joakim Kimmel.
Yeah.
Matthias Heavily.
Yeah. It's an Anaheim pick for sure.
So Matthias Havlid to Anaheim, which means Boston's on the clock, which is my pick.
By the way, you said you are from Massachusetts.
I am.
Why the fuck are you Tampa fan?
It's a long story. It's a long story.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
It's a long story. After the stream's over, I'll explain it to you because it's a long story. I'm not gonna lie, it's a long story. Shout out my friends though. They were.
I'm just playing.
No,
you know that.
It's a funny story. So I will explain it after the stream's over. I don't mind explaining it at all. But let's just say my friends from Mass. We're called Massholes for a reason. So I'll just put that out there.
In a good way?
No. Oh man, see, Boston's an interesting one to study because they're the type to be very old school, but they're also the type to just go way off the board and do something really stupid as well.
Where the fuck did Mason Lohrei come from?
Don't ask me. See, it's one of those things. I don't know which direction to go in because on one hand they're going to be rebuilding. So do I try to find a guy who has really high upside that's maybe a little off the board, that's really good, like a really good finisher to replace David Pastrnak, who's likely to get traded, or do I go with someone like a little bit more?
You are not getting a replacement for David Pastrnak here.
No.
Again,
oh my god!
Boston
If you want a sniper, right now, Bryce McConnell Barker.
That's who I was.
Interesting pick, actually. Yeah.
That's who I was thinking.
Sugai to Boston.
I was thinking that, or I was thinking Otto Celine because Boston is one of those teams. I don't know.
I feel like actually
I just thought like Adam Ingram. It's because USHL.
Yeah.
Thing.
That's so.
Adam Ingram.
Those are my three names. We have Ingram, Celine, and then BMB, McConnell Barker.
When oh my god.
I'll go Adam Ingram because he's the best player available. But those are the three guys that Boston will probably pick there if those are their options. So I'll go Adam Ingram with Boston.
Well, just looking at other possibilities. Sorry. Like.
Yeah, Adam Ingram fits.
Just tall, lanky.
Oh yeah.
So now Spence is on the clock.
Just decent.
Spence is on the clock with Winnipeg. Who do you think Winnipeg, before Spence sends it in, who do you think Winnipeg goes for here?
Grudinin. No.
We'll see.
No, actually no. Or should I just bank on my sense here? My sense, like six senses, he's gonna pick Grudinin, but what I actually think he should would select is.
And Winnipeg is such a weird team at the moment as well.
They literally became what other Canadian teams are.
Yeah, they had so much potential. Like that season where they made the Western Conference Final, they were looking so good. But
Spence loves writing about ECHLers sometimes, according to his Twitter bio. So I think he goes with Marek Hayduk because he'll fit Spence's ideas.
Is that I definitely need to ask this? Is that Milan Hiduk's son or something?
Yeah.
That is okay. Better. I was just like that. That was a name I had not seen for a long time.
Yeah. So
Let's see. He's going.
Spence asked when his pick was up, and then left after he was told 3 picks.
I think he's typing now. So.
Oh, that could make sense. Let's see. So so we're here, which means
there we go. Golden.
I'm proud to select. Here we go. Yep, Vladimir Grudinin. There you go. I didn't see it until now, but Vladimir Grudinin. Yeah.
But yeah, we called it. We definitely called it.
So now it's Minnesota, which, Fred, whenever you're ready,
Yep.
if you have a pick.
For Minnesota, this is where I think at this point you have kind of filled in your needs. So for this pick, you pick the best player available. So I'm going to pick Otto Salin here for Minnesota. I think they can take a risk with this pick, and I think he's a really good player. If he can get over his injuries, I think he's definitely worth it.
To Minnesota. There we go. So now we have... Geez. All right, where am I? That's not the right one. Now we have Chicago. So that is Vinny Parise. So hopefully...
I will say I'm very happy with what I got so far.
I'm very pleased with my picks as well for Detroit. I think, I'm really happy with what I've done for Detroit here. And I like my Nathan Gosher pick as well for Detroit. I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like, I don't know, Detroit's just one of those teams that it's not necessarily easy because Steve Yzerman's one of the more unpredictable guys, but his unpredictability makes him predictable in some ways. Because it's like...
We saw that a little bit last year. I don't know, Sam, if you know you have you're muted.
Sam, you're muted. He's really getting into it.
Fuck. Yeah. Sorry about that. So he's so unpredictable that he's predictable.
Oh, yeah.
Chicago
the best
Sorry to cut you off. Chicago
that's fine.
Justin Cote with their pick, which I don't know if I like that one too much. I will put out there, I've done a Tampa Bay Lightning Prospects prototype thing series for Last Word. I think I mentioned that before. One of the fits was Justin Cote, and I took him in the 7th round in a mock draft. So
yeah, because he's 5'7" or whatever, right?
I think so, yeah. I think he's one of the bigger guys.
Bigger, yeah, definitely.
But for me, it's that's one of those that I'm a little bit about.
That's a good old Canadian name.
Oh yeah.
Say he's a fighter for sure.
Jack Smith back on the clock again for Seattle.
Is he here even?
I'll say the thing that I set up to go into the Steve Yzerman thing, I think the pick that I remember the best being really out there was when he skipped on Jesper Wallstedt and then picked Sebastian Kosa. That is only Steve Yzerman that can make that pick and kind of get out.
For Kosa.
Which I still disagree with.
Yeah, drafting up.
I still disagree with that to this day.
I do too, but again, it's because of Steve Yzerman, because there's usually a genius to the madness, you kind of go, has he seen something that everyone else has missed?
Well, he did.
On what?
He did the same thing with Seider too, where completely off the board to the point where the player was shocked himself. Like that, you don't see that very often.
That face on Moritz Seider when he heard his name at 6.
I love Moritz
Legendary.
Seider. I had never envisioned him going anywhere near the top 10. I loved the player. I thought he was gonna go like 20th.
So
No, I had him at 12.
Seattle takes Noah Warren with this pick.
Beautiful. Nice pick.
Good
That
pick.
is
Good pick. Makes a lot of sense for Seattle.
Congratulations. Noah Warren like screams a leaf for some reason.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Let's see. So Seattle goes with Noah Warren there. So the next pick is Calgary, which, if I'm not mistaken, does not have. They don't have anyone controlling them. So who does Calgary take with their second round pick?
Oh my god.
Something-
Richard Lawrence.
You think so?
Yeah.
Seems like a consensus thing here.
No, actually, not Richard Lawrence.
I mean, Matthias
Bryce
Savoie.
McConnell Barker, because they picked who it was, Rory Kerins last year.
So you think Bryce McConnell Barker? Would you agree with that?
I actually think that, yeah. I actually think
That makes sense.
does make sense, and that's definitely winning kind of what they would take.
All right.
By the way, on one random WHL kid, Brendan Lisowski. People are not gonna pick him that high, but that dude is a freaking lion. Just relentless.
All right.
Brendan Lisowski.
This is one that I've been waiting.
He's one of those that need to kind of reevaluate a little bit. He's like I have like an idea of what my top 60 is, and I'm gonna release that. But I need to see.
Aggressive but tiny.
All right. So this pick is something I was extremely excited for coming in because I have Carolina. And Carolina is one of the most interesting teams to draft for because they almost always seem to get it right.
I know already who are they gonna pick at 60.
Go ahead. Let's see if you're right.
Tomáš Hamara.
No.
Jokel loves him. Jokel loves him.
But does he have that much sway? And like, I don't know how
Bro, he was the guy who convinced Keynes to pick Koivunen and Heimo Salmi in second round. I think he has a say a little bit. Especially. And he loved him. I remember our first draft meeting like 3 years ago over. And he was on like Tomáš Hamara. I love Tomáš Hamara. He's gonna be amazing. So for me, I think they're gonna go Tomáš Hamara. I'm gonna leave you, Kyle, to pick whoever you want here, whoever you love here, because I know you're gonna get it right. I just wanted to say that if he's available, Tomáš Hamara is a case.
I feel like I have a lot of pressure now to get this right.
No.
So I'm not particularly high on Hamara, but I am.
Leaves love him, by the way.
I am very.
From his own words.
I'm very, very high on one player out of the QMJHL. I can tell. Who do you think it is? No. By that reaction, who do you think it is? Because I can tell you it's not going to be that guy, and you're going to be even more disappointed. Unless you get it right.
QMJHL.
Yeah, QMJHL.
Markus Vidicek.
No.
No?
You're gonna be even more disappointed. I can already tell, but this is a guy I'm very, very high on. I'm gonna go with. Do you have? Will you guess?
I'm worried it's like Alexis Gendron or something.
No.
Who?
Okay, fake Christ. No, that's all I'm gonna say.
No. Please don't pick a little guy. No.
I'm picking Antonin Varol from.
I knew. The second you told me it's not Vinicek, I knew it's gonna be Verol.
So you almost swung me to pick Kamara because I do like Kamara, but he's not like he's just not a guy that
It
I'm
doesn't
trying
blow
to.
you away.
Yeah,
Sure.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. And Carolina takes guys that are like I don't know. Carolina's just one of those teams that they take gambles on players.
Yeah,
The Seth Jarvis.
and they pick timeouts on every fucking pick.
Yeah, you should have a
And I
word.
hate
You should
them.
have a word with your buddy Yoki there for that one.
Yeah, they did it for fun. They did it for fun.
Yeah. Carolina seems like the type of
Whatever.
organization to do that too. I'm not surprised at all.
Bunch of children, not bunch of cunts or whatever it is. With a bunch of jerks. Bunch of
So
children.
Jerks.
Seattle. Seattle is not owned again. So another one that's not owned. Oh wait, no,
Seattle.
sorry, they are owned. Jack
Yeah.
Smith is on the
What?
team. My fault. I thought they were one of the teams because we keep picking for teams in Seattle. We had to pick a couple times because Jack wasn't available, but he seems like he's available now. He's been pretty active.
Shame. Shame on you. You should be ashamed of
Oh,
your
I am.
skill.
I am. I already picked Antonio
Yes.
Varol, so I should. I really do like Varol though. I like him a lot.
Yeah, he's like 5'4".
It's
So
fine.
that
It's fine.
checks
We,
out.
like Tony Ferrari, my bald king. We like short kings.
Oh, you sorry, Cola. Oh,
And Seattle takes oh god, I'm gonna butcher this name. Topias
Coffee ready.
Leinonen?
Yes, Leonen.
Leonen, okay.
Leonen.
who? The goalie?
I think
Yeah,
so, right?
Topias Leinonen.
Yeah, I think that's a goalie. Yeah.
It is, yeah. He's not my
It's
top
funny
number.
it's funny to listen to North Americans and others try to pronounce names as Central European because I can pronounce literally anything on the face of the earth.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, God, I've been working with I'm working doing interviews for the local team here in Denmark. We are getting some Ukrainian player, like a lot of Finnish players, and I'm like, I need to pronounce your names and do it properly. This is gonna be helping me.
What was the name?
Which one?
The Ukrainian.
And Reed Schaefer will go to Montreal from Ben Kerr. So that's the next pick.
I'm gonna say about Reed Schaefer. That's a Bergevin pick if Bergevin was a GM.
Yeah.
Was that a good thing?
Yes and no. Yes, because it's not in the first round.
At least it's not like the disaster that was like the pick he made last year.
Oh no, not I don't want to even speak his name.
No, I don't
Oh.
either. No, I'm just gonna call it a disaster. Let's leave it at that.
Fuck that guy.
All right, so now we have Ottawa on the clock, which is Gordon back. Any
Ottawa.
predictions? You seem to be pretty good with predictions here, Sam. Except for my pick of Varol, which really threw you out.
He's gonna go. Oh, Jack Devine.
I think he goes Ludwinski.
That or Jack Devine? I bet, yeah, Jack Devine for me. If you get Ludwinski right, I think that makes sense because he's teammate with who the goalie is, the below average goalie who since fans believe he's the second coming of God.
I know who you're talking about.
Medellin, whatever his name is.
Yeah.
Levi Medellin. Yeah. And then Matt Zogart.
Yeah.
He's tall.
He's very big. He's extremely big. He's someone I love how Denmark's new generation of goalie is going to be Matt Sogard, who is going to be the big guy, Frederick Anderson essentially, and then we have a small guy in Radek Dikov, who is the Montreal prospect. It's like we have literally
the 6'1", right?
Sir?
Dikov is 6'1", right?
I don't think he's that. I think he's like 5 something. He's like a really short goalie. I believe so. It's like, let me check to make sure, because it might be wrong.
I remember a lot of shit. Him being small is not one of them.
Oh, he isn't. Okay, he isn't. It's because he's called like as someone who's been calling him the gnome the entire year. So I think I've just like subconsciously been, oh, he's small. He's not. He's 6'5". He's actually very big. Never mind. What? Why do you call him the gnome? Random Montreal prospect follower I've been using. I feel cheated. I feel absolutely cheated.
You've been programmed.
I've been just subconsciously like brainwashed, thinking he was like a goalie my size, and like been like, oh, this is gonna be interesting. Nope,
To stay on the topic of NHL or drafted goalies already. One goalie that's really, really disappointed me after being drafted, who I was really high on for the draft. He wasn't a first-round caliber guy, but I was really high on, and I was really happy this team took them, was Hugo Alnefeld for the Lightning. He has really disappointed me since he's been drafted.
And, hey, Miftako better. the thing stays the same. I mean, Miftako is going to be fucking good.
Yeah.
You saw it firsthand, Kyle.
Yeah.
He's going to be good.
I mean, watching him in the draft, he's one of those guys that like he's like Jesper Wallstedt in like the way that he moves, where it's like really mechanical, but like not as athletic. And Wallstedt's not the most athletic, but like I don't know. I really, really liked the way he moved. He just seemed like I don't know. I'm not good at evaluating goalies, so you can make fun of me here, but I
check
really...
the pick. Check the sense pick.
I'm very glad you continued after he's just like Jesper Wallstedt, because I was about to go sorry, what?
Jack Devine. So Sam was right again, by the way. Just wanted to Jack Devine to Ottawa. Yeah, I don't know.
Also, I feel like Jesper Wallstedt is actually somewhat like pretty athletic. He just doesn't need to use it half the time. So,
Alnefeld, I haven't watched in a long time, like with like a scouting eye. Like I've watched him like play because he's on the Lightning organization, so I'll pay attention to him. But I don't like look at him deeply. I don't remember. I remember like his mechanical movements. He moved like just so smooth in the crease. But that's really all I remember. I was a huge fan of Alnefeld.
I'm going to dive deep into goalies next season. Figure out how to. I'm gonna force it down my throat that I'm gonna do it. I already know what to look for because I knew Miftako as soon as I saw him at World Juniors, and before that even, I knew he was gonna be good. Why? His statistical background is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Here, 980. Okay, 918, 941, 934. 919, 921, 913, 919 in World Juniors, 917 in KHL, and then obviously first season in AHL.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I agree. He's gonna be like again. He should go in the first round.
If you have a goalie, you are scouting, and he has consistently like 920, 925, 920, 915, 920 prior to draft, there is a goalie that can be an NHLer one day. No matter if he lacks in that department. It all depends on the coaching further in development to embrace that. However, if you don't have a statistical background, like I said it before on like Twitter, that like there is a lot of NHLE stuff that people do for players. Do one for goalie and you're NHL GM in 10 years. Do NHLE for goalies because that shit's gonna predict so many good goalies into the NHL because statistical background checks out always.
So now for the last two picks of the mock draft, we have both New York teams, the Rangers first, and followed by the Islanders, who have the Colorado pick. Who do the Rangers go with? I mean, I'm looking at the list right now. Sapovalov sticks out to me for the Rangers.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah,
So Sapovalov, yeah.
I think that's a very well pick.
Islanders, I don't know.
And now
Like Hamara?
for the Islanders?
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Yeah, just clear.
Same.
It's fine. That's like okay. Those teams do not have owners, or the GMs are not available.
There was no owner for either one of those teams.
Interesting. Okay. So we concluded the draft. Amazing.
So that's it for the last word on sports mock draft. I want to shout out Fred, Sam. I also want to shout out Ben and Chaz for being on the Zoom call. It wasn't easy finding a day that worked or a time that worked. It was crazy because I was on vacation for 2 days down in Cape Cod where my family, and I found about a 2-hour stretch where I could sit down and do my own thing for a little bit, and I took up the full 2 hours trying to find a day, and I kid you not, every single day was split 50-50 between morning availability and night availability. And the only reason I was able to get this afternoon is because I work nights, so it's so much easier for me to get it done in the morning. And so if it works for me, unfortunately, I'm the one that is going to control what time it is. I'm picking a time that works for me. It's just how it is. I want to shout the guys who joined the Zoom out in a big way. Sam, I think this is our 3rd year now doing a mock draft. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah,
It's absolutely fantastic to be a part of. I love it.
Yeah, and you've been a part of all 3 too, Fred.
I think I have, yeah.
Yeah.
I think I've been.
This is like the OG group right here who started it all, really.
Oh, Jesus. I think this was the first year I didn't do any scouting beforehand. I just looked up stats. And last year I then took into way more consideration, and this year I've been actually watching footage and stuff like that. So
yeah,
it's been developing a little bit.
Fun.
So it's a lot of
you
fun.
realize scouting is fun.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And especially when you get things that I was able to get to, So yeah, that's fun. That gives me motivation.
On top of the guys that were on Zoom, which I already mentioned, I want to shout out Vinny Parisi from Fansided, Jack Smith, who is also a part. Maybe not. He's on the HW radio. I want to shout out Gordon, part of Dauber Prospects for the Blues and also for Editor and Leaf. I want to shout out Chaz. Yeah, he was already on here. I want to shout out Walmaz. He's a really, really young kid. It is incredible seeing how brilliant he is with scouting already at just 18. He's been doing it since he was, I want to say, 15 years old. Started.
Yeah, I think so.
He started off a while back. Yeah. So
I believe he was one of the guys that got me into hockey writing, back in Puck and 7-7.
Yeah, he was part of Josh
Love
Tessler's infamous Puck 77 website. I swear, the people that came out of that site is just remarkable. It was Tony Ferrari, that was his big break. Now he's massive. Josh Tessler, I mean, forget it. He's ridiculous too. You have Wally. You, Fred.
I unfortunately got in so late that I never really got the full experience, but I did manage to really start kickstart something there. So
Yeah, it was a great group. It was
And
a really good
also,
group.
like, just the former Dober crew where I started, which was the first year the Dober decided to do scouting, like rookie scouting. It was Tony, Yoke. Yoke is with Carolina.
Mhm.
Sergey for Russia, who works in the KHL as a scout for like second or third year now. Josh Tesler, me, and I guess there was someone else, but I'm not sure. I don't remember. It was 3 years ago. Decent group of guys.
Oh yeah, more
you
than
learn a lot.
yeah. We also have Spence. It's not his real name. That's just the name he goes by. Spence, who works.
Another young kid.
He did work
Mhm.
for Overtime Heroics. I don't know what he does now. I think he's still right for Overtime Heroics. He's
I think so. He's still there, I believe.
yeah. It doesn't say it in his bio. What I'm looking at. So
He's still super young too.
yeah, he's another
Oh,
young
yeah.
guy, just like Walmaz.
Even younger than him.
Spence, I believe, was also part of Puck 77, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken.
Oh, he was. He was.
James Lucavone, who is from, again, the same HW Flyers podcast, another big name within the scouting world. He does a lot of, well, not just the scouting, but the hockey world, hockey Twitter. He's
He
pretty
is
big.
the media world around Flyers, I would say.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot there.
We have another one who's part of HW. What is his? I don't see his name. He just goes by D Bob, Pod Street Bob on Twitter. He also works with James Lucavone. And then Ben Kerr. He was the one who allowed me to become a scout with Last Word, which I was really excited for. I thought that was a big step for me. So shout out Ben for giving me the opportunity and making my platform big. And obviously you could argue he's a legend in the field too for Last Word. He's definitely more notable. And my friends, when I tell my friends who don't really, look at hockey a whole lot, if I tell my friends, yeah, I work with Ben Kerr, they're like, oh, I know that guy. That's crazy. You work with him. Like, he's pretty big. So yeah, shout out him for making time for the
Lovely
stream and
feller.
for the mock draft. What was that?
Lovely feller.
Yeah, he's a
Very
really good
lovely
guy.
fellow.
Unfortunately, he is a Canadians fan, so I feel bad for him. But
Yeah, not so nice for
yeah. So
He
again,
can kick rocks.
thank you guys for joining. And when this stream ends, I will talk about why I became a Lightning fan. So, all right. Thanks again, guys.
Oh, no problem.
Pleasure.
It's been an absolute blast once again. And again, for me, who's not used to doing like who beforehand didn't do any sort of scouting, it's been fun to try and actually do it on the fly. So yeah, and again, learn from. I can learn and see the improvement. I think this year I felt way more safe about my picks throughout the entire thing, and I think it shows a little bit in. I'm trusting my rankings more than I did before, where I jump a lot more.
Oh God,
Okay.
I don't know how to end the stream.
Doing.
Oh no.
Oh God.
Oh no.
It's
Hello?
going around forever, like what? Like the
No.
Snoop one.
The endless hockey talk.
Oh, there we go. We got it. All right, perfect.
Hey.
End. There we go.